Chapter 540. Generally speaking, what happened in the Level 3 fishery would not spread to the towns. The 36 towns deliberately blocked the news in this regard because they were worried that the people in the towns and villages would know too much about the Level 3 fishery, which would be of no benefit to their cultivation. In every school in the town, those teenagers usually yearned for the Level 3 fishery, thinking that there were many resources, it was easy to make money, and they could improve their cultivation quickly, so they yearned for it. But what they didn't know was that there were also many people who died in the Level 3 fishery. Everyone who went to the Level 3 fishery would be taught a lot about the Level 3 fishery before they went there. When Han Fei and the others went there, Wenrinyu and the others also taught them about the Level 3 fishery. However, although few people knew about it, there were still people who knew about it, such as the major chambers of commerce, the teachers in the schools, and the managers in the towns. In a town, it was inevitable that many people would interact with the Level 3 fishery, so the news of what happened in the Level 3 fishery spread in a small circle. And the Thug Academy, a school with only a few people in total, basically couldn't hide the news. When the news that Han Fei and the others had killed a hanging fisher in the Level 3 fishery came back, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were dumbfounded. Chu Jinan froze on the spot. A hanging fisher. Han Fei and the others had been out for more than 8 months. His and Ling Yuan's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Because it was not a 5-person team, Xiao Zhan and Wenrinyu naturally acted as sparring partners every day. At this moment, Chu Jinan had already reached the level of an advanced great fishing master, and Ling Yuan was slightly behind him. She was only an intermediate great fishing master, but she was about to make a breakthrough. They thought that before Han Fei and the others came back, they must break through to the level of peak-level great fishing masters. They couldn't be a burden to their senior brothers and sisters, could they? But it had only been 8 months. We haven't reached the peak of the great fishing master level yet, and we are still far away from becoming dangling fishers. Are you telling me that you have killed a hanging fisher? And he seems to be a peak-level hanging fisher? Ling Yuan took a deep breath. Little Nan, I want to go to the Level 2 fishery. Chu Jinan froze for a moment. But we have only achieved 50 consecutive victories in the arena. We are still far from achieving 100 consecutive victories. Ling Yuan looked at Chu Jinan. There are only 2 of us, and the school hasn't recruited any students. Do you know how difficult it is to win 100 games in a row? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside them. Ling Yuan, don't be too fast. Reducing stress is a good thing for motivation, but you have to act within your means. They didn't go to the Level 2 fishery until they won 100 games in a row. Otherwise, where do you think their combat experience and skills came from? Ling Yuan's face immediately drooped. Miss Wenren. But senior brother and the others were only junior dangling fishers back then, but they could already win 100 games in a row. Nonsense. Wenrinyu said, at that time, not all of them were junior dangling fishers. Besides, realms are not equal to strength. You're still lacking. Go, fight again in the arena today. Yes, teacher. After Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan left, Xiao Zhan appeared and said with a frown, it's really fast. How did those little guys suddenly kill the guardian of the dragon boat? Humph. Old Bai passed by with his hands clasped behind his back and said fiercely, those little B** stars are just messing around. Fortunately, they went to the ghost ship to find some special means first. Otherwise, the 5 of them might have been killed by the enemy. Wenranyu wondered, President, which senior brother is in the Level 3 fishery? How do you know what happened in the Level 3 fishery so well? Old Bai said, guess? Anyway, I have someone who sends me a message every half a month. How can I not know their situation? Xiao Zhan said in surprise, why didn't I know that we can still get news about the Level 3 fishery now? I specially asked someone to get the wanted list. Now these 5 B** stars are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the top 5 on the wanted list. Wenran, you said worriedly, Old Bai, should we do something? I told you to place an immortal seal on them. If that doesn't work, you can also use a protective amulet, but you didn't want to give it to us. Now, look, we are trembling with fear. Old By snorted. That's what incompetent people do. You seem to think it's the same whether you give it or not. In fact, you are totally wrong. Psychologically, it's completely different. Besides, how do you know that I didn't give it to them? When Rinyu and Xiao Zhan were both stunned. You gave it to them. When did you give it to them? Why don't we know? Old By snorted. I won't tell you. The level 3 fishery. On the sea, on an ordinary fishing boat, the 5 of them did not make hot pot again. At this time, a hot pot could really kill them. God knew if passers-by would find them because of the hot pot. Luo Xiaobai said, our top priority now is to confirm whether we should continue our adventure or go back to the Blue Sea Town directly. Isn't there a teleportation array only on the dragon boat? Are we going to sneak onto the dragon boat again? Lurin Kuang said, I think we'd better go back. Now they're trying to catch us. It's too dangerous. No, we should go to the ghost ship to sell things first. Han Fei pondered. Selling half of them should be enough. The value of the Sun Moon shells we robbed this time is immeasurable. There are nearly 3 billion mid-quality pearls in them, which can be armed to the teeth. Each of us can buy a peak-level dangling fisher ancient jade. If we buy spirit awakening fluid, we can buy 10,000 caddies. Luo Xiaobai said, I don't recommend buying so much. Don't forget that more than 50% of the Thousand Star City's economy comes from the unknown place. And before we came to the level 3 fishery, we didn't know that the prices here are completely different from those in the town. Do you think spirit awakening fluid will be cheaper in the unknown place? Han Fei's eyes lit up. Very likely. Then let's buy less first. Han Fei immediately crushed the jade slip given by the faceless man. After half an hour, a figure suddenly floated on the water. Han Fei and the others were surprised. Where is the boat? The faceless man snickered and said, Does it mean that I have to drive the ship here to make a deal with you? Han Fei was puzzled. They had been together for several months. God knew where the ghost ship was. However, this faceless man came so fast. How did he get here? Before Han Fei thought carefully, he heard the faceless man say, I didn't expect you to really succeed. You are really a young hero. Han Fei thought for a moment and said, 3,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid and 5 peak-level hidden fishers. I don't need the soul crystals. He had only used less than 300 soul crystals last time, and the others hadn't even refined them yet. If they needed more in the future, that would be a matter of the future. As Luo Xiaobai said, the unknown place should be a place richer than the level 3 fishery, and there should be better things there. The reason why they still wanted to buy more was that they hadn't been able to leave the level 3 fishery yet, and the danger was always there. If there was a teleportation array that could take them back immediately, Han Fei and the others would definitely choose to go back directly without making any deals. The faceless man didn't feel excited or surprised at all by this one. Billion deal, but asked leisurely, How long have you been on the sea? Luo Xiaobai frowned. About an hour. What's wrong? The faceless man pondered for a moment and said, Then the price should be raised. You must have robbed a lot of resources from that dragon boat, right? I want half. Wow. Xia Shaochan bared her teeth. Why? Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, Then we can't make a deal. Han Fei frowned. Luo Xiaobai asked why. The faceless man said, I thought you should have contacted me dozens of days ago. If you had contacted me immediately and boarded the ghost ship, I wouldn't have asked you for a lot of money. The problem is that you have shown up now. If you had come to me a little later, I wouldn't have been able to save you. Han Fei's face changed. What do you mean? The faceless man laughed. You must not know that there is a divine weapon in the level 3 fishery called the Sky Hanging Mirror. The power of this mirror is to reflect the entire level 3 fishery. When you were on the dragon boat, you left too many traces. It's too easy to find you. Chapter 541. Wow. Han Fei and the others were all dumbfounded. What the hell is the sky-hanging mirror? Who the hell has ever heard of it? The faceless man smiled and said, You see, in fact, I can take all of your belongings, but the ghost ship has always been fair and just. I'll save you and only charge half of the money. You've made a profit. Han Fei was speechless. Do you know how much half of the money is? Although Han Fei didn't count it, in addition to the 3 billion mid-quality pearls in the Sun Moon shell, the remaining various resources could be worth at least 2 billion or even more. Now, you want half of my belongings? So I fought for nothing? The faceless man didn't urge them, but just said lightly, You still have about half an hour to think about it. I'm not in a hurry. Han Fei's brain was spinning wildly. Is this faceless man lying to me? But there's no reason. Why would the faceless man lie to me? While emphasizing that he was fair and just, he asked for half of his belongings. But on the other hand, if what the faceless man said was true, then at this moment, even if he asked for all of his belongings, he would still be helping him. But they had nothing to do with this faceless man. Why would he help them? Han Fei thought that if he were this faceless man, it was very likely that he would take action in advance, rob him of all his belongings, and then leave directly. This was just one of Han Fei's questions. In addition, he was still thinking if he hid in the gate of the hexagon starfish, could he escape this disaster? Han Fei knew that if he hid in Forge the Universe, he would definitely be able to escape the disaster. But not to mention that the demon purification pot would be exposed. If the sky-hanging mirror was true, he would have to show up. Even if he hid in Forge the Universe, he couldn't get out of this level 3 fishery. Luo Xiaobai said, I think it's credible. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang were dumbfounded. But after thinking about it, they also nodded surprisingly. They were not idiots. They could clearly distinguish the stakes. They could kill a hanging fisher, but could they kill a hidden fisher? Even if there were no hidden fishers, 1 or 2 hanging fishers might not be able to defeat them. Han Fei looked at the faceless man. Half of it is not a problem, but you saved us. If you just let us stay on the ghost ship, it's meaningless. We have to go out sooner or later and find a teleportation array on the dragon boat. The faceless man chuckled and said, Who told you that only dragon boats have teleportation arrays? Han Fei's face changed. There's one on the Spectre too? Faceless man smiled and said, Don't forget, the ghost ship used to be a dragon ship. Although the teleportation array was damaged, it was not impossible to repair it. Of course, I'll have to pay more. Han Fei was speechless. This guy is so greedy. So, you've already planned this all along. You'll get half of the reward for saving people and half for repairing the teleportation portal. Han Fei gritted his teeth. How much? The faceless man grinned. Your remaining half. I like to leave a fated chance for others. The fated chance is not over, and the fate is not over. Think about it, isn't it quite interesting? Han Fei suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Is this guy out of his mind? You make it sound as if I want to be connected with you. Han Fei tried to suppress the urge to punch him. I'm not angry. Anyway, it's all robbed. I can still keep a quarter of it. Not bad. Suddenly, he saw the faceless man look at the sky. In 3 seconds, settle down quickly. They're coming. Huh? They're coming? Han Fei immediately responded, Okay. The faceless man threw out a fishing rod, and the fishing line immediately tied up Han Fei and the others. Don't resist. With that, the faceless man swished into the water, and Han Fei and the others were strung together and submerged into the water at the same time. However, at the moment when Han Fei and the others entered the water, a blue beam of light fell directly on their fishing boat. With a boom, the fishing boat exploded into pieces. At the bottom of the sea, the faceless man pushed with one hand, and a complex and strange pattern appeared, which condensed into a large circular array in a few seconds. Huh, After Han Fei saw this large array, he was slightly stunned. Why does this array pattern look a little familiar? But the reality didn't allow Han Fei to think about it at all. In the bottom of the sea, suddenly a golden light seemed to pass through the endless void and suddenly appeared in front of the large array. The faceless man stomped his foot, and a defensive array appeared. BM, the entire seabed was blasted into a turbid state. The sand and stones within a kilometer were mercilessly crushed, the seawater bulged, and a large pit was sunken under their feet. Han Fei and the others were shocked. This was definitely not an attack at the level of a hanging fissure. Is a hidden fissure here? Faceless, the dragon boat and the ghost boat never interfere with each other. Hand over those little guys, and you and I will live in peace. Otherwise, the array in the faceless man's palm was still stacked, and all kinds of strange patterns were still entangled. He said, I took your money and helped you eliminate disasters. What can you do to me? The next moment, for shadows swept over at a terrifying speed. The faceless man snorted lightly, and the array in his palm suddenly burst out with a strange light. The faceless man directly pushed Han Fei and the others into it, saying, I told you to make up your mind earlier, but you didn't listen. Fine, I will find you later. Han Fei and the others only felt that their vision went dark, and the next moment they appeared on the surface of the sea in an unknown place. Whoop! The waves splashed, the wind whistled, and everyone's clothes fluttered in the wind. They were still in shock. Lu Renquang was horrified. We are really being targeted. That sky-hanging mirror is real. The hexagon, starfish-clawed, Lu Renquang. I'm so scared. No, I can't stay in the sea area. It's too fierce. I have to go somewhere else. Han Fei sneered. If you have the ability, go ahead. Now there is a mirror hanging in the sky. I guarantee that you will be caught before you can run out of the level 3 fishery. At that time, I'm afraid your treasures will be emptied. The hexagon starfish's big eyes narrowed. Then, forget it, Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise. Fei Fei, do you feel that this place seems a little familiar? Han Fei didn't have time to think about this, so he responded casually, It's all F** King water. I can't feel anything. Zhang Xuanyu said, Wind. Wind. The sky is just right, but the wind is very strong. This place is close to the abyssal chasm. Han Fei was taken aback. F** CK, it seems to make sense. Xia Shaochan said, Then what are we waiting for? Let's go in. Otherwise, what if the mirror in the sky finds us? Luo Xiaobai agreed. Let's go in. Although I don't know what the sky-hanging mirror is. It must have something special since it can locate us. I've heard that the abyssal chasm is strange. This place is just right. The wind god boat came out, and the 5 of them rushed to the place where the wind was strong. Han Fei said it's a good deal. I've decided that when I have a chance in the future, I will definitely go to the level 3 fishery, rob a few more dragon boats, and take off that mirror, by the way. Xia Shaochan scoffed. Don't brag. If it weren't for that faceless man, we wouldn't even know how to escape. Han Fei snorted. He was thinking that if it weren't for that faceless man, he would have to use the sky dissecting finger. Less than half an hour after the wind god boat left, a fishing hook rushed at them from the void. With a swish, Han Fei maneuvered the fishing boat to make a half arc and narrowly avoided the fishing hook. Han Fei shouted, Not good! Someone is targeting us. Steady, steady. As a result, as they approached the abyssal chasm, a red silhouette often moved in a semi-arc on the surface of the sea, jumping, making rapid turns, and other snake-like movements. Han Fei cursed while controlling the fishing boat. They can't catch up with me, can they? I'm just using the hook, and he's not coming. If he can catch up with us, I'll ride backwards. At this moment, the tide on the sea was already surging, and huge waves 10s of meters high had been set off on the sea. The wind god boat was like an elf dancing on the sea, and Han Fei said to the others, When we reach the hurricane area, I won't stop but rush straight in. You, Did you come out like this when you came out? Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. No. When we came out from the water, and there were some accidents, and some people died. Han Fei paused for a moment. Really? Suddenly, Lu Renkuang's face changed drastically. Stop talking. Look at the sky. Everyone looked up, only to find that a silver light seemed to shoot down from the sky, and then 2 hanging fissures emerged from the silver light. Hiss! Zhang Xuanyu looked at Han Fei. What is your surname? Han Fei screamed as if there was a prawn stuck in his throat. What the F***ck is this? How can hanging fissures be so strong? Luo Xiaobai's face was dark. It should be some kind of array that can directly change positions, but the price is not low. It seems that we have really angered the entire level 3 fishery. Chapter 542. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei steered the wind god boat at full speed and cursed. So what if they come? No matter how fast a hanging fisher is, can he be faster than a fishing boat? They can't even catch up with an ordinary fishing boat. Han Fei was right. The fishing boat was a bug. No matter how fast a hanging fisher was, it was impossible for him to be faster than a fishing boat unless he launched a fierce attack. However, Han Fei only considered pure speed. In addition to speed, hanging fishers also mastered brilliant fishing skills. 2 fishing hooks were thrown out in the blink of an eye. Han Fei's perception range was large, and as soon as the fishing hooks were thrown out, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers swept out, not to attack, but to change the landing point of the fishing hooks. As long as he made the slightest mistake, he could get out of trouble. Unfortunately, as a hanging fisher, his controllability was also extremely strong. Han Fei's goal failed, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers returned. Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang made a contribution. One used the sky swallowing technique to forcibly attract the fishing hooks. The other pointed his finger, and vines emerged from the void, flying and entangling to block the 2 fishing hooks. However, the 2 hanging fishers reacted quickly. The fishing boat under their feet appeared, and they also chased after them frantically. While chasing, they waved their fishing rods. This lasted for about a quarter of an hour. Under the defense of Lu Renkuang and Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei finally saw the hurricane sweeping into the sky. Han Fei shouted, "Come on, let's hold on for another half an hour." Puff! Lu Renkuang said, "The wind here is too strong. My sky-swallowing technique is about to be affected." Luo Xiaobai said, "Not good. They are attacking from underwater." Han Fei immediately said, "Zhang Xuanyu, you control the wind god boat." Han Fei took out the blue sea wandering dragon rod and shot it directly into the water. Han Fei couldn't use the 1,000 twining technique, so he could only use the flash hook technique and the winding snake technique. The fishing hook competition was about ingenuity, which depended entirely on the dangling fisher's method of controlling the hook. Otherwise, once Han Fei's fishing line was entangled, he would have to either throw away the fishing rod or cut the fishing line. But it would take time to cut the fishing line. Therefore, once the fishing hook competition failed, Han Fei would lose an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Under the water. To be exact, the vines were hanging under the fishing boat. Luo Xiaobai's perception range was not that far, so she could only defend herself passively. After Han Fei used the water vein technique, the fishing hook entered the water, and the fishing line and hook seemed to enter a state of invisibility. Facing the fishing hook that came straight at him, he went up and pulled, directly bending the fishing line of the other party. Behind him, the faces of the 2 hanging fishers changed slightly. What kind of fishing skill is this? I can't find the hook and line at all. Use the double hooks. So, for the first time, Han Fei saw the fishing technique of 1 fishing rod with 2 fishing lines and hooks. One of the hooks twisted, and the other shot at the wind god boat. Han Fei sneered. "Do you think 2 fishing hooks are enough? You're too naive. Do you think my void fishing technique is useless? At that moment, one hook against four hooks, the blue sea wandering dragon rod was like a snake attacking, always rushing up and pecking at the two hanging fishers behind him, which gave the two hanging fishers a headache. Damn dangling fisher. I admit that your combat skills are good and your physique is also very strong. But where the hell did you learn this weird hook technique? Xia Shaochan was holding the fishing boat and sensing it. She looked at Han Fei in surprise. What kind of hook technique is this? Han Fei could still respond. This is my exclusive hook technique, which combines the water control technique of a spirit gatherer, the winding snake technique, instant hook, and many other hook techniques. Anyway, Xia Shaochan wasn't a spirit gatherer, so it was easy to fool her with the tricks of a spirit gatherer that she didn't know. The two sides fought for almost half an hour. The sky was completely dark, and the wind god boat had completely entered the hurricane sea. Just when everyone thought they were about to rush into the abyssal chasm, the water suddenly exploded, and the wind god boat was directly blasted into the sky. How is it possible? Han Fei was shocked. He had been perceiving that there was no one within a radius of 10,000 meters. But just now there was clearly an impact of a spiritual energy explosion under the boat. As soon as the wind god boat flew into the sky, Zhang Xuanyu's control was unstable, and there were tornadoes everywhere, so he directly lost control. It was also because of this mistake that the two hanging fishers finally hooked the wind god boat. Han Fei immediately pulled out the blood-drinking knife and slashed out, breaking all the four fishing hooks. However, it was this momentary change that caused them to have no way to escape. Han Fei didn't ask why. When the wind god boat flew into the sky, he knew that it was too late to say anything. Han Fei roared, "Get ready to fight." Luo Xiaobai took the lead, using the strong wind here to summon large pieces of flower petals, which flew all over the sky. When it fell on the hanging fisher, who leaped over, it exploded with a bang. Han Fei shot out the blue sea wandering dragon bow, but behind each spiritual energy arrow, there was a small black ball. Bam! 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 The poisonous smoke king exploded in the air, but because the wind was too strong and the hanging fisher's reaction speed was too fast, it didn't have any effect. Han Fei stepped on a spiritual array, raised his hands, and a large amount of seawater turned into water knives and attacked them. The two hanging fishers didn't care about this at all. The two of them were rushing over at an extremely fast speed, and a weird hook appeared in one of their hands and even shot at Han Fei. But they didn't notice the smile on the corner of Han Fei's mouth. It was too easy to disguise this kind of water knife with the infinity water. Han Fei directly threw several kilograms of Poison King into the infinity water. He didn't believe that the hanging fishers could resist the poison of the Poison King. However, the effect of the Poison King wasn't so fast, and the other party was already in front of him. Han Fei roared, and a blazing fist mark filled with flames in the air bombarded directly at one of them. Zhang Xuanyu followed closely, and the 9-layered waves in furious sea blasted at another hanging fisher, along with Luo Xiaobai's bursting flowers and Lu Rinquang's bloodthirsty broadsword. As for Xia Shaochan, she had already disappeared when the two hunters pounced on her. The horror of hunters was not in frontal attacks, but in unexpected attacks, especially in the face of hanging fishers. Flashing directly was tantamount to courting death. The sacrificing punch collided with the hook, and the whole seawater under his feet sunk. Within 100 meters, the wind and waves suddenly stopped, the water splashed, and then exploded. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood and was sent flying back twice. And the hanging fisher sneered, "Do you think I will suffer the same defeat as Ruanyu once?" Under the water, a weird black spider crab suddenly emerged from the water and stabbed at Han Fei with its sharp claws. Fortunately, he had an ultra-quality battle suit to protect him. Otherwise, Han Fei would have suffered a big loss. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood and slashed with the draw technique. The knife light rubbed violently against the crab's shell and legs, but failed to cut it. Han Fei shouted Xiao Bai. On Luo Xiao Bai's side, Zhang Xuanyu had just collided with the opponent and was blasted into the water after only 1 second. The bloodthirsty broadsword was directly blocked by the opponent with a big shield. At this moment, Luo Xiao Bai's bursting flowers were exploding. Hearing Han Fei shout, Luo Xiao Bai was slightly distracted, and then thousands of vines stretched out from the void and directly dragged Han Fei back. At this moment, the 2 hanging fishers were preparing for the next wave of attacks, but suddenly their faces changed. Stomachache? Oh no, I'm poisoned. They didn't know how this dangling fisher was poisoned. He clearly dodged the Poison King's smoke. Could it be the water knife? The 2 hanging fishers looked at each other and roared at the same time. Both of them took out their long sticks and blasted at Han Fei. The billowing air waves shook the sky directly. Luo Xiao Bai was just in front of them, but she was directly blown away by the terrifying sound waves. Lu Rinquang shouted again, Divine, Turtle Shield. However, before the shield came out, there was a sudden explosion in the air. Xia Shaochan was shaken out of the air. Xia Shaochan was dripping with blood, and her eyes were bloodshot, as if she was about to have an attack. She almost struggled to say to Han Fei via voice transmission, Hunter. At this moment, Han Fei was furious, and a hexagonal object flashed in his hand. At the same time, he shouted at Xia Shaochan, Calm down, calm down. Don't be impulsive. As soon as he shouted, Han Fei felt a chill all over his body, and a terrifying sharp blade appeared on the back of his neck. Puff! A burst of mystic light, in the roar of Lu Rinquang, and in the flash of Xia Shaochan, Han Fei's body was directly cut in half. No, you're courting death. Huh. At that moment, a dragon roared. Xia Shaochan's eyes were bloodshot, and her body was ignited with red flames. She couldn't believe it at all. Han Fei was killed. Xia Shaochan, who was on the verge of having an attack, went crazy. She fused with the giant arowana in an instant. She was going to kill that hunter. Chapter 543. The hunter smiled at the moment he cut Han Fei into pieces. He thought to himself, even if you are a genius, so what? In the face of absolute strength, you can only die. When he cut Han Fei, he was surprised to find that there was no salt at all. Yes, Han Fei used the mirror of icy salt at the moment Xia Shaochan was born. It seemed that he was cut, but in fact he was cut into the sea with his clone. Before the hunter could be happy, a red light appeared beside him in an instant. How is it possible? He was horrified. How could Xia Shaochan's speed be so fast? He admitted that Xia Shaochan had an almost perfect hunter talent, but she wasn't so strong just now. Before he could react, Han Fei, who had been cut in half, had already fallen into the sea. Xia Shaochan's figure flickered crazily, as if she didn't exist at all, and the dagger in her hand had attacked the hunter hundreds of times in the blink of an eye. Huh. The dragon's roar reverberated in the hunter's ears, making him bleed from his eyes, nose, mouth, and organs. The hunter was fighting back, spurting out a massive number of poisonous stings, each of which was enough to make a peak-level, dangling fisher tremble. But in the hunter's horrified eyes, these poisonous stings all penetrated Xia Shaochan's body, and none of them could fall on her. How could it be? Is this the secret technique of space? Lu Rinquang's eyes were filled with tears, and he activated the violent war body and the spiritual clam. Then he turned into a fireball and slammed into the hunter. Zhang Xuanyu rushed out of the water. It had only been 1 second since he entered the water. How could Han Fei be dead? He didn't believe it, but he saw half of Han Fei's body in the water. I'll kill your son of AB****. Soul explosion. The hunter didn't expect these people to take the risk, and a burst of spiritual power directly exploded in his head. A dagger with a blazing red light had completely torn his ultra-quality battle suit, and now it was tearing his contractual spiritual beast apart. Is this a divine dagger? Lu Rinquang, like a fireball, held 2 knives in both hands and stabbed directly at his head. The hexagon starfish was shivering on the boat at the moment. He felt something was wrong. Han Fei was dead? Impossible. He didn't feel anything. But in the blink of an eye, the hexagon starfish didn't have time to say anything. In the sky, the other 2 hanging fishers endured their stomachs and charged at Xia Shaochan and Lu Rinquang. Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Be careful! Han Fei is not dead." Luo Xiaobai maintained her usual calmness. The moment Han Fei was hacked, her heart was indeed chilled. However, everyone forgot that Han Fei had the immortal seal. Would he be that stupid? Did he forget the existence of the immortal seal at that critical moment? No. If the corpse didn't burst out the immortal seal, it was definitely not Han Fei. Luo Xiaobai was 100% sure. Besides, at this moment, she sensed a figure rushing towards her from the vines underwater. Who else could it be but Han Fei? The other 3 had already gone crazy. All Luo Xiaobai could do at the moment was to desperately block the 2 hanging fishers. As a result, a dark blue flower bloomed in the sky. Tens of thousands of thin threads extended from the flower bud. Each thread was dark green and densely covered in poison. The blue flower attempted to envelop the 2 of them. F*CK off. One of them blasted out thousands of rod shadows with his rod, completely ignoring Luo Xiaobai. If 2 peak-level hanging fishers were trapped by a manipulator at the level of a peak-level dangling fisher, it would be a disgrace to all hanging fishers. In fact, Luo Xiaobai's strength was only relative to those of the same level. For example, although Yi Baiyu was extremely fast, he was no match for hanging fishers in terms of physique and combat power. When encountering various kinds of spiritual plants like Luo Xiaobai's, which could poison, paralyze, and create illusions, he might not be able to resist. But hanging fishers were different. They didn't fall for this trick at all and broke through it easily. Bam! At this moment, the water surface broke, and a fish skin map flew into the air, and a big axe directly tore the void, as if a giant holding a big axe was trying to split the sky and the sea. This was given to him by the faceless man on the ghost ship. How could it be? You're not dead? Damn it, it's the god-slaying axe. How could the 2 of them have the time to care about the hunter at this moment? What mattered most was to save their own lives. At that moment, 3 void gates fell from the sky. Han Fei's eyes were piercingly cold. 3 death gates? Bam! 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 The 3 void gates shattered again and again, but the axe didn't stop moving forward. The 2 hanging fishers directly took out 5 or 6 ultra-quality spiritual weapons to protect themselves. But these spiritual weapons were still shattered one after another. In the face of this monstrous power, ultra-quality spiritual weapons could only block a few blows, but they couldn't stop it in the end. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them fell into the hurricane as wide as a kilometer with the axelight, and the terrifying axelight even directly split the hurricane in half. At this moment, Han Fei suddenly realized that spiritual weapons might no longer be the mainstream in the future. Ignoring the 2 of them, Han Fei spread his wings and rushed directly to Xia Shaochan. He saw that the hanging fisher had been stabbed into pieces by her, and Xia Shaochan was holding 2 daggers like blood jade in her hands, which seemed to be F*King divine weapons. Han Fei's eyes flashed, and the 9-star chain shot out, directly buckling Lu Rinquang and Zhang Xuanyu. These 2 idiots. Do you think I will die so easily? At this moment, Lu Rinquang's stomach was slashed by Xia Shaochan. Even with the help of the majestic mystic spell and the violent war body, he was still bleeding. Fortunately, Zhang Xuanyu still had some sense of evasion. At this moment, he was running and was dragged back by Han Fei. Han Fei swallowed. Xia Shaochan was sick, and she was holding a divine weapon. What should he do? Han Fei immediately gritted his teeth, put on an ultra-quality battle suit, and rushed over with 2 blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hands, intending to hit Xia Shaochan. However, in less than a minute, the 2 blue sea wandering dragon daggers were cut to the hilts, and the ultra-quality battle suit on his body was cut all over. Xia Shaochan, wake up. Hey, are you trying to kill your husband? Ouch, I'm not dead. My waist. Xia Shaochan, I am Han Fei. When Han Fei said his name, Xia Shaochan suddenly paused, with a trace of confusion in her eyes. Seeing that it worked, Han Fei hurriedly said, I am Han Fei. I'm not dead, not dead. The crimson light in Xia Shaochan's eyes flickered, and she said with difficulty, You are not dead. Yes, 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 I'm not dead, not dead. The crimson light on Xia Shaochan's body suddenly dimmed, and then she closed her eyes and fell from the sky. Han Fei quickly reached out to pick up Xia Shaochan and hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on himself. In just a few seconds, he was stabbed 17 times. Fortunately, he had practiced the 108 spirit-absorbing ore bodies and could control the state of his muscles. He avoided the vital parts of his body. Otherwise, he would have been stabbed to death. At this moment, Han Fei sympathized with the hunter very much. He deserved to be stabbed into a cork. On the fishing boat, Zhang Xuanyu was still in shock. He looked at Han Fei and asked, Fei, you're not dead? Han Fei shrugged. Bullsh *T. Hurry up and steer the fishing boat. Let's go. Seeing that Han Fei was not dead, Lu Renkuang immediately noticed his belly, which was cut from left to right. His ultra-quality battle suit was cut open, and so was his belly. Lu Renkuang wailed, Fei Fei, help, help. Han Fei hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on him and roared, Don't move! I told you not to move. Luo Xiaobai half knelt on the deck, panting. Let's go. Those 2 seemed to have survived. Han Fei looked back. Not killed. That F***king axe didn't kill them? No, there is only one person in the storm. Boom! The thick hurricane seemed to be slapped away by someone, but a faceless man walked out of the storm. The faceless man was weighing 2 sea, swallowing seashells in his hand, seemingly a little satisfied, probably muttering why they were not sun-moon shells. The faceless man stepped to the bow of the wind god boat and shook his head from time to time. 5 fools! Knowing that the sky-hanging mirror is hanging high in the sky, you still ran from the sea. Why don't you find a secret realm to hide in? Don't you know how you hid in the past few days? Han Fei grinned and said, We survived, didn't we? By the way, why did you help us? The faceless man shrugged. I am a businessman. Han Fei was pressing one hand on his belly, but he couldn't press it properly because there were too many holes, so he cast the divine healing technique on himself. Han Fei sneered. Businessman? Will a businessman do a losing business? The fish skin map just now is worth at least 200 million, right? The faceless man smiled gloomily. Can 200 million buy your 5 lives? Chapter 544. Han Fei didn't ask what happened to the 2 peak-level hanging fishers. This faceless man was very strong. He was besieged by so many people, but could still appear so quickly. Han Fei asked, Who the hell are you? Do you want to ask me questions or save your life first? While talking, the faceless man pushed with one palm, and the weird array just now appeared again. This was obviously a teleportation array. The 5 of them were thrown into the array just now and then suddenly appeared in this abyssal chasm. However, the last time was in a hurry. This time, it took the faceless man a full 3 minutes to completely engrave this array. The faceless man shouted, Let's go! Now that things had developed to this point, Han Fei and the others naturally didn't have any doubts anymore. Strictly speaking, this faceless man was trying to save their lives. Asking for money was most likely a pretense. Otherwise, with the strength of the faceless man, there was no need for him to do that. This was a dark water area. When they appeared from the teleportation array, they saw the behemoth-like ghost ship hovering on the bottom of the sea. In and around the ghost ship, some large squids and octopuses were swimming, and from time to time some fish, shrimps, and crabs would drill into the holes of the ghost ship. Seeing this scene, Han Fei was naturally very surprised. They had never seen a ship that could sail on the bottom of the sea. Han Fei had seen one, but it was different. This thing was not a submarine. It was still very surprising to see it appear on the bottom of the sea. This time, the entrance of the ghost ship was no longer an ordinary cabin wooden door, but a seal emitting a dim light at the top of the ghost ship. Han Fei walked in front with Xia Shaochan in his arms, and the hexagon starfish lay on his shoulder. There is a big seal on this ship. Han Fei was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't take it seriously. The ghost ship was naturally mysterious. Otherwise, it wouldn't have appeared in the level 3 fishery for so long. The wound on Lu Ren's belly was almost healed, but he still stuffed some restorative pills into his mouth from time to time. Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "Senior, will the dragon boats really not find the ghost ship?" The faceless man shrugged. "So what if they find it? I'm doing my business. What does it have to do with them?" As faceless man stepped into the seal, everyone appeared directly inside the cabin. The moment they appeared in the cabin, they found that many faceless people were busy in this huge cabin. Han Fei saw that in the hall that originally had 12 trading halls, the wooden boards that were supposed to be the walls of the ship all opened up to form individual rooms. They looked like shops along the street. Here, a faceless person propped up a pill furnace and threw all kinds of spirit herbs into the furnace. There was a faceless man forging weapons, and there was a giant eel lying at the entrance of the blacksmith shop, seemingly preparing to seal a spirit. Someone was floating in the middle of a puddle that was connected to the ocean. Spiritual qi surged around him, and he seemed to be cultivating. Many people seemed to be sorting out all kinds of treasures, including spiritual fruits, spiritual springs, weapons, jade slips, fish and shrimps, but no mid-quality pearls were found. The moment they landed in the cabin, almost everyone stopped what they were doing, raised their heads, and began to look at them up and down. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. "What do you mean by showing this to us?" The faceless man smiled. "There is no secret. Why can't I show it to others? Do you think the ghost ship is dead silent when it is not on the sea?" As the faceless man spoke, all the faceless people began to work again. No one said a word of greeting, as if Han Fei and the others didn't exist at all. The faceless man said that there was nothing wrong here, but Han Fei absolutely did not believe him. This place was full of weirdness. The only thing missing was that the words, "I have a secret," were written on their faces. "You're telling me that everything is normal?" Zhang Xuanyu supported Lu Renquang and whispered to him, "I feel that we have walked into a huge conspiracy." Lu Renquang shrugged. "I don't care. Anyway, I'm not dead. That's good." Han Fei and the others followed the faceless man into a separate room. At this moment, Xia Shaochan and Han Fei's arms woke up and struggled to open her eyes. When she saw Han Fei, Xia Shaochan was stunned. "Han Fei? Am I dead too?" Han Fei pinched Xia Shaochan's body and said, "Who told you that I am dead? Do you think I will die so easily? You're so stupid. I just didn't have time to tell you before I was split into the sea." Xia Shaochan stared at Han Fei for a long time. "Wow!" Suddenly, Xia Shaochan burst into tears and hammered Han Fei with her little hand. "I thought you were dead. I saw you being split by someone." Han Fei comforted her. "That's fake. Why don't you touch me? It's real. I'm still alive." Xia Shaochan reached out and pinched Han Fei's face, and then pinched herself. After a long time, she was sure that Han Fei was not dead, and neither was she. "Huh." Xia Shaochan suddenly burst into fury. "You almost scared me to death. Next time, tell me in advance. You suddenly split into 2 pieces. Who are you trying to scare?" "Cough, cough." Han Fei blushed slightly because he found that Luo Xiaobai and the others were looking at him differently. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time. No, Fei Fei. Xia Shaochan. When did you two become so close? Han Fei was holding Xia Shaochan horizontally at this moment. Xia Shaochan woke up, but didn't come down immediately. Instead, she hammered his chest, pinched his face, and hugged him. This was 2F** king much. Lu Renquang said stupidly, "People who are in love are usually not smart." Han Fei scoffed. F***ck off. Luo Xiaobai's eyes were strange, but also full of curiosity. Han Fei said shamelessly, "It's none of your business. Why don't you go and talk to her?" Zhang Xuanyu looked at Luo Xiaobai and said, "Xiaobai." Luo Xiaobai said coldly, F***ck off. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Hey, okay." Xia Shaochan disappeared into Han Fei's arms in a flash, but when she came down, she immediately said in surprise, "Is this the ghost ship?" Then Xia Shaochan looked at the faceless man, only to find that the faceless man was looking at them with his arms crossed. Xia Shaochan said in surprise, "Why aren't we wearing masks?" Han Fei thought for a while and didn't know how to explain, so he said, "I'll tell you later. It was this senior who saved us." The faceless man said in a hoarse voice, "You are so young." "That's good. Back then I was also young and—" "Forget it. Why am I telling you this?" Then the faceless man stretched out his hand. "Pay up, everyone." Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, "Senior, I really don't believe you are doing this for money. Why don't we take off our masks and get to know each other?" The faceless man glanced at him. "Why don't you go to heaven?" Lu Renquang asked, "Senior, are you sure? Then can we still buy things?" The faceless man said lightly, "Of course you can. Pay 5 billion first, if you still have a lot of money left." Puff! Han Fei was speechless. "Did you know that we only have this much money?" The faceless man said, "Don't play tricks. I'm watching you. Don't try to pass off shoddy goods as good ones." What could he do at this point? Of course, he had to pay. Although he risked his life to get the Sun Moon shell, he and the others were also saved by the faceless man. If the faceless man didn't take action, even if they could kill the 3 hanging fishers, could they kill all the hanging fishers in the entire level 3 fishery? So Han Fei took out the Sun Moon shell, sighed, and threw it over. After the faceless man caught the Sun Moon shell, he grunted softly, looked at it for a while, and then laughed. "Not bad. It's a pity that this should only have half of the standing resources of a dragon boat. It should be worth 5 billion. By the way, did you hide it?" Han Fei said helplessly, "Did I have a chance to hide it from the beginning to the end? Besides, this Sun Moon shell is only worth 5 billion? The faceless man sneered. "How much do you think it is? 10 billion? The things here are all commonly used things. Do you think they are very valuable?" Han Fei didn't want to argue. "Fine, whatever you say. I just want to know how much you left for us." The faceless man raised his head slightly as if thinking. After pondering for a long time, he said, "Building a teleportation array also costs money. You don't have much left. If a dragon boat comes to you, I don't think it will be enough." Puff! Han Fei was dumbfounded. "What the hell? You tell me a Sun Moon shell is not enough? Do you think that money isn't money?" Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang staggered with each other's arms, feeling as if they had been struck by lightning. It was not easy for them to snatch the Sun Moon shell, although they did not snatch it themselves. But it was Han Fei who snatched it, and they could always eat and drink well with him. Besides, just in those 2 battles, they had destroyed a lot of ultra-quality spiritual weapons, which added up to probably hundreds of millions. Now, even the Sun Moon shell had been taken away. How could they not feel distressed? Although she didn't understand the situation, she couldn't reveal the 50 swallowing seashells she had snatched. Those were the last spoils of war. Chapter 545. It seemed that they couldn't get the Sun Moon shell back, but Han Fei and the others had nothing to say. It was them who went to the ghost ship to buy resources first, robbed the dragon boat, and summoned the Faceless Man. It seemed that they had done it all, except for killing 2 hanging fishers and experiencing the near-death crisis. They didn't get any benefits. The Faceless Man left, leaving this room to Han Fei and the others. Lu Renkuang said, "Oh no, we've suffered a big loss this time." Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help sighing. If the president knows that we have just lost 5 billion yuan, he will probably skin us alive. Luo Xiaobai had no concept of money, so she said calmly, "Hurry up and restore our strength. Before we completely leave the level 3 fishery, we must always maintain our peak state." Han Fei nodded. "Yes, restore our strength and energy." With that said, Han Fei took out a large pot and a barbecue grill. After a while, the 5 of them ate hot pot in the ghost ship. After eating for about 5 minutes, the door suddenly opened and they saw a group of faceless men standing at the door, staring at the barbecue grill and hot pot. Many faceless men were swallowing saliva. Some are pulling each other, and some are pushing and yelling. They seemed to want to taste the barbecue and hot pot. Seeing this, Han Fei's expression changed. He pushed the entire barbecue grill to the door with one hand. Anyway, the 5 of them had been exposed and didn't wear masks. It was probably the first time in the history of the ghost ship that a group of people came in without wearing masks. Since the faceless men wouldn't hurt them, it didn't seem to be a big deal to treat them to a barbecue. So, in the blink of an eye, the barbecue grill was empty, and then a group of faceless men scrambled with each other. Humph! With a cold snort, everyone dispersed, leaving only a bare barbecue grill at the door. The faceless man stood at the door. "Do you know the formula for these 2 things?" Han Fei. Before Han Fei agreed, the faceless man said, "In 2 hours the teleportation array will be ready. If there is no accident, I will send you back with the help of the mysterious energy of heaven and earth. The premise is that you have to go to the sea, which will inevitably attract dragon boats. You gave me too little money." Han Fei gritted his teeth and said, "We have no money." The faceless man chuckled, as if he didn't believe it, but he didn't ask further. Luo Xiaobai, on the other hand, suddenly said, "Thank you for your help, Senior." The faceless man snorted lightly, turned around and went out. Luo Xiaobai said, "There's no such thing as a rescue for no reason. Since the specter chose to help us, it must be related to us. This sun moon shell is worth it." Han Fei nodded. "Okay, hurry up and recover. Fatty, how's the wound on your stomach?" Lu Renkuang roared. "Xia Shaochan, calm down next time, or we would have all been stabbed to death by you just now." "Xia Shaochan." "I chopped it?" Han Fei's face darkened. "No, he did it himself." Without giving Xia Shaochan a chance to think, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Do you have a divine dagger? Why don't I see you using it?" Xia Shaochan was stunned for a moment. "You know." Xia Shaochan glanced at Lu Renkuang, wondering if she had taken out the divine weapon and chopped them just now. Xia Shaochan nodded. "Yes, but the 2 daggers seem to have been integrated into my arms. I've never summoned them. Did I really use them?" Han Fei rubbed Xia Shaochan's hair and said, "It's okay. Divine weapons are not easy to use. You just use them to stab a hunter to death." Thinking of the hunter, Xia Shaochan's eyes suddenly turned cold. But Xia Shaochan also asked, "Where did you get the clone?" Zhang Xuanyu also asked, "Yes." Han Fei, where did you get the clone? Have you also learned a combat skill like the triple original body? Han Fei grinned. "It's not the triple original body. It's just an opportunity. I can use the clone 3 times. I've already used it twice this time, so there's only 1 chance left." Luo Xiaobai exclaimed, "Based on the number of times? A limited type divine weapon?" Han Fei nodded. "Let's talk about this later." 2 hours later, the ghost ship went to sea, but the ghost horn didn't sound. It was late at night, and the sea breeze blew a salty smell. Han Fei and the others were standing on the top of the ghost ship, where there was a rune array with a radius of about 20 meters, which was now emitting a faint glow. The light became more and more intense, and after a full 10 minutes, a bright moonlight essence fell from the sky and fell on the big array. The faceless man said lightly, "The array of heaven and earth is strange and unpredictable. None of you are familiar with it. TSK, Han Fei smiled and said. Before Han Fei finished speaking, the faceless man said, "Actually, as a spirit gatherer, you only know how to use spirit gathering arrays. It's really shameful." Han Fei was speechless. Okay, now you're the boss. You have the final say. The faceless man said lightly, "In about a quarter of an hour, you can enter the array by yourself." Han Fei couldn't help asking, "Are you going back now?" The faceless man snorted. "Go back? Bullsh *T. The enemy is coming." Han Fei and the others were shocked. How is it possible? The level 3 fishery is so big and the dragon boats are so slow. How can they come so fast? Even last time, it took them half an hour to arrive, didn't it? The faceless man said gloomily, "The floating island is an array, and so is the level 3 fishery. Under certain circumstances, as long as a certain price is paid, the array will always be activated. Ignorant brats, remember, don't underestimate any place, even ordinary fisheries." While talking, Han Fei saw in the darkness, in the distance, a big, brightly lit ship was sailing over. Luo Xiaobai's face changed. "So many." Lu Renquang trembled. "Oh my God! 7, there are 7 of them." The hexagon starfish directly clung to Han Fei's shoulder. At this time, they had to rely on a big shot. Just now, there were only 3 hanging fishers, but they were already so brutal. Now, there were 7 King dragon boats. How could they not be happy? Han Fei's eyelids were twitching. How much do the masters of the dragon boats want to kill us? 7 dragon boats came at once? Are they crazy? The faceless man said, "This is not just your business. The ghost ships and the dragon boats have been holding grudges for a long time. You don't have the ability to attract 7 dragon boats." Faceless. From a long distance away, a sound wave rolled over. In the sky, a hidden fisher came over, holding 2 blazing red flame lightsabers in his hands. Following the hidden fisher were 7 hanging fishers, standing on the fishing boats, some holding swords, some stepping on golden wheels, and some carrying machetes on their backs. All of them rushed at the ghost ship at the same time. The faceless man laughed. "Boys, it's time to receive our guests. Kill." His words were like the hooves of a golden spear, an iron horse, trampling on the sea. Weird sounds that sounded like drumming echoed nonstop on the specter. Red and black mystic rays rose up like lasers and enshrouded the entire specter. Han Fei exclaimed, "The killing array of the ghost ship!" 2 giant crimson axes had appeared in the faceless man's hands. He leaped into the sky and grinned. 9 nether killing array. At the same time, the 5 of them saw faceless men appear from both sides one after another and land on the top floor. Among them, a few faceless men flew directly into the air and joined forces to attack the hanging fishers. Hanging fishers? Han Fei found that these people were also hanging fishers, but judging from their auras, these people seemed to be junior or intermediate hanging fishers at most. Then Han Fei saw in the sky tens of thousands of fishing boats flying towards the ghost ship. Those people seemed to be just a team of peak-level dangling fishers. Gulp. Lu Renquang swallowed. We seem to have made a big deal out of this. Han Fei was also dumbfounded. The point is, did we really cause this? Are we going to rely on the faceless men to fight this battle? Luo Xiaobai frowned. It's useless for us to go up. I'm afraid this is indeed a war between the dragon boats and the ghost ship. As soon as Luo Xiaobai said so, the hidden fisher said, "Faceless, let's see how you resist this time." "Haha, I'll just hack you to death." After that, an axe light hung upside down in the sky, and the billowing flames were thousands of meters long. The hidden fisher's flame swords directly burned through half of the sky, as if the whole sky was on fire, and the blazing flames almost blinded the eyes of others. Zhang Xuanyu and the others couldn't help but cover their eyes. Only Han Fei, who was burned in the abyssal chasm, had already adapted to this kind of heat. Clang! Han Fei's eyes were bloodshot, and he saw the faceless man cut the hidden fisher from the sky to the sea. Below the two, the seawater separated, leaving a long gully that was hundreds of meters deep. Shoot! Chapter 546. The five of them were like flowers in the wind, looking so weak and powerless in this night full of sunglow. This level of battle had completely exceeded Han Fei's ability. This was clearly a fight between immortals. Everyone immediately remembered the scene of Xiao Zhan fighting with the man from the Sun family. Their battle was like a tsunami, and just the aftermath of their battle shook dozens of kilometers, making people feel powerless. On the other side, the faceless man had the upper hand with his axe, pressing the hidden fisher on the sea surface. On this side, the battle between the faceless army and the hanging fishers had also begun. However, they could only see a large number of faceless men flying around. Although they were strong, there was still a huge gap between them and peak-level dangling fishers. Without Han Fei's amazing skills, they naturally couldn't gain the upper hand in a head-on confrontation. However, Xia Shaochan suddenly exclaimed, "Look, there are hunters!" In the night sky, hundreds of starlight spots shone and scattered among those hanging fishers. Zhang Xuanyu quickly asked, Where are the hunters?" Lu Renkuang looked around. "I don't see them. By the way, should we go up and help?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "They must be hanging fisher-level hunters on the ghost ship. Only Xia Shaochan can see them, but we can't." Hearing Luo Xiaobai's words, Han Fei frowned. "Only Xia Shaochan can see them? I can see them too." In Han Fei's eyes, it was just a beam of black shadow bouncing among the starlight, as if the starlight had been woven into a big net. Swish, 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 Han Fei saw with his own eyes that a giant ray of a hanging fisher on the opposite side was cut into pieces. A black light that couldn't be seen at all flashed, and a hanging fisher who was bombarding crazily was torn in half. Wow! Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Isn't this a bit 2F asterisk king strong? A hanging fisher that he couldn't even defeat was chopped in half with a single slash. Xia Shaochan said in surprise, "This combat skill is good. It's a good reference." Han Fei turned his head and looked at her. "Don't. Get ready to fight. Those peak-level dangling fishers are coming." Faceless Man said that the battle would only end after a quarter of an hour, but it had only been 20 breaths since then. It was still far from a quarter of an hour. Moreover, the Spectre ship was only temporarily out to sea this time. There were no people from all over the world on board, so this battle could only be fought by the faceless men on the Spectre ship. But those were tens of thousands of fishing boats. Even if there was only one peak-level dangling fisher on each fishing boat, there were still 10,000 of them. What did 10,000 peak-level dangling fishers mean? Even if he stood still and let the other peak-level dangling fisher take the attack, he didn't know how long it would take. Boom! Just when Han Fei was about to take action with a roar from the ghost ship, the red and black killing array suddenly spread out for tens of thousands of meters, enveloping nearly 1,000 fishing boats that were approaching. In an instant, Han Fei saw that the originally twisted lasers directly turned into terrifying beams similar to knife lights. In the blink of an eye, dozens of fishing boats were smashed apart. Someone's body was cut and he was wailing. A hunter tried to hook the Spectre ship, but the hook and the fishing line, as well as himself, were swept by a black light in the blink of an eye and fell straight into the sea. Some armorists protected themselves with turtle shields and barely survived. However, not everyone was an armorist. The soul warriors and armorists could barely resist for a while, but many spirit gatherers, hunters, and manipulators were hanged immediately. To be honest, this was the first time that Han Fei had seen the real power of a killing array. The one he saw Mu Ling use on the steps into the sea was nothing compared to this one. The peak-level dangling fishers, who were almost invincible in the level 3 fishery, were powerless in this killing array. As the saying went, they would die in the presence of light. Zhang Xuanyu said in a daze, "It seems that we don't need to do anything." Lu Rinquang shook his head and said, "I don't want to enter this killing array. This is too exaggerated. There are so many mystic lights. How can we break through?" The hexagon starfish muttered, "Human beings are too scary. Why do they like killing arrays? Even starfish don't want to learn it." Han Fei was speechless. "Why don't you learn it? When they want to catch you as their spiritual beast one day, do you think your 6-gate array will be of any help?" "I won't be caught by them. I run fast." Humph! There were battlefields on all sides. After seeing the battlefield in the undersea city, Han Fei felt that this battlefield might be nothing. However, in the undersea city, the enemy's realm was too high. He could only see the shocking scene occasionally, but it was not as thrilling as watching the battle at such a close distance. The battle between the faceless man and the hidden fisher was beyond Han Fei's expectation. The faceless man was simply suppressing the hidden fisher. It seemed that the flames were blazing, but in fact the hidden fisher had been hacked to pieces and vomited countless mouthfuls of blood. Outside the killing array, many people turned around and ran away. Damn it! They had been promised a lot of money to attack the boats. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 fishing boats were swept away by a killing array. As far as they were concerned, this was a situation where they had no chance of survival. A hanging fisher rushed into the killing array and shouted, "The killing array also needs spiritual energy. The ghost ship won't be able to hold it for long." With that, the hanging fisher summoned a big turtle. At this moment, the turtle's head shrank in the shell and it slammed into the ghost ship. "Brat, stop this!" The faceless man's voice sounded in Han Fei's mind. After hearing this, Han Fei rushed forward and launched the sacrificing punch again. Boom! The turtle shell was punched by Han Fei and flew away in the sky. However, what made Han Fei speechless was that, unlike other hanging fishers, this hanging fisher, who seemed to be an armorist, completely blocked the sacrificing punch. Han Fei hurriedly poured a few mouthfuls of candle dragon blood into his mouth and panted, "I can't move." As soon as Han Fei finished speaking, an axe light fell from the sky and directly split the big turtle in half from the middle. The hanging fisher could no longer fly in the air, and his legs were cut off. Ah! Along with a shrill scream, dozens of beams of mysterious light swept over. Luo Xiaobai pointed her fingers, and spiritual plants grew out of the hanging fisher's legs. "Wow," Han Fei asked in surprise. "What kind of combat skill is this?" "This is not a combat skill. This is just the basic use of manipulator abilities." Han Fei wanted to roll his eyes. "You call this a basic ability? Are you kidding me?" Beep, beep, beep. Before Han Fei and the others could think, the 7 dragon boats had already approached, and Han Fei could see people surging on those dragon boats. When Han Fei saw a spiritual energy shock wave smashing towards the ghost ship, he was stunned. What's the difference between this and cannons? Han Fei couldn't help but be shocked. Back then, how did the Spectre ship defeat 5 ships by itself? Did they fight against this terrifying shock wave? Fortunately, the shock wave was cut by the mystic lights after falling into the killing array. Although the scattered spiritual energy shock wave was still very strong, it was not enough to destroy the ghost ship on a large scale. However, fortunately the dragon boats had cannons, so did the ghost ship. Besides, the ghost ship's cannons were more powerful, and the spiritual energy shockwave was dozens of times larger than that of the dragon boats. Damn, why is it so powerful? Han Fei didn't know how this spiritual energy shock wave was emitted. At this moment, he was perceiving it. However, he found that there were no cannons at all, but arrays. The so-called spiritual energy cannon was actually a large array. These arrays first gathered spiritual energy, then gathered it and shot it out. This was as simple as a spirit gatherer sending spiritual energy into someone's body, except that the spiritual energy sent by the spirit gatherer was gentle, but the killing array was violent. For a moment, it became a scene of one ship firing cannons against 7 ships. For the first time, Han Fei didn't know that arrays could be used in this way. He was so *king ignorant. Thinking of the spirit-gathering scripture left to him by old Jiang, Han Fei decided that after going back this time, he must master this array. This thing was too powerful. Think about it if you fight with someone and you're doing fine. If he were to suddenly create a killing formation, it would be like *king chain of cannons, bombarding the enemy fiercely. Who would be able to withstand such a thing? Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, "Not good. The power of the killing array is beginning to weaken." Han Fei took a closer look. It was indeed weak. More than half of the 1,000 fishing boats that rushed and had been obliterated, and a small number of them were still resisting. In the sky, the hidden fisher shouted angrily, "Faceless, your ghost ship has done too many evil things. This time you will be defeated." Chapter 547. When the power of the killing formation weakened and the spiritual energy cannon of the dragon boat finally landed on the ghost ship, the faceless man was furious. As he stepped in the air, a huge shell illuminated the sky, but the shell was completely different from the shells ordinary people saw. Rather than calling it a shell, it would be more accurate to call it a large axe. It swept up a fierce gale as it descended from the sky. In Han Fei's eyes, data appeared. Name: God-slaying clam. Qiu Lai's spiritual beast. Introduction: the bloodline of the sky-splitting clam, an ancient fierce spirit. Its sharpness can cut mountains and seas. Its hard armor can't be penetrated by any divine weapon. It has unparalleled defensive and offensive abilities and inherited the sky-splitting combat skill. Level. Quality: legendary. Food: omnivorous combat skills. Contained soul power. Hiss. He has a legendary spiritual beast? Han Fei was stunned. Is a legendary spiritual beast so worthless? How many have I seen so far? Besides, this was just the introduction of the god-slaying clam, but it sounded like a legendary spiritual beast. As soon as the clam appeared, the hidden fisher was directly pressed into the water from the sky. He crossed his swords, trying to resist. However, the faceless man roared, "I said I'd kill you, so I'll kill you. You're just a hidden fisher." Stop. In the sky, a figure fell, but the axe had already chopped down, and the raging waves soared to the sky. The momentum and the remaining power shook the ground tens of thousands of meters, and a monstrous tsunami broke out. The other party's hidden fisher was dead. "Faceless, you've gone too far." A gray-haired old man appeared on the raging waves, pointing at the faceless man angrily. The faceless man laughed and said, "You should know me. The ghost ship works for money and is honest all. Whoever dares to offend me, I'll kill him." Han Fei and the others couldn't help but swallow. His words were so *king domineering, as if he was not afraid of anything. The ghost ship was shaking at this moment, and there were dozens of big holes in the hull. But surprisingly, it didn't sink. The hanging fishers had already retreated, looking horrified at the moment. They were just guarding the dragon boat, but they didn't know much about the ghost ship. Their predecessors had only warned them not to clash with Spectre ship, but no one had expected the owner of Spectre ship to be so powerful. A hidden fisher. He was killed just like that. "Welcome, Lord Enforcer." At that moment, the fishing boats outside that had been hesitant ran back crazily. The hidden fisher was killed, and the law enforcers were here. How could they live like this? How did he end up participating in the battle between the dragon boats and the Spectre? The moment the law enforcer landed, instead of fighting, he said to the hanging fishers, "Let's go!" Those hanging fishers even suspected that their ears were damaged. The Spectre ship committed a crime on the spot, but the law enforcers didn't care? However, how dare these ordinary hanging fishers disobey the will of a law enforcer? He immediately retreated. In fact, even if the law enforcers didn't say anything, they would still retreat. The reason why they followed the hidden fisher to attack the ship this time was, of course, not because of the 5 of them. They were just an excuse for the dragon boats to attack the ghost ship. It was just that no one expected that the owner of the ghost ship was so powerful that he could kill a hidden fisher with an axe. Who the hell could continue to fight? When the dragon boats retreated, the sea was still turbulent, and there was still half of the 15 minutes left. In other words, this seemingly crazy battle actually lasted only a quarter of an hour. On the waves, the law enforcer glanced at the 5 of them and then looked at Faceless. The ghost ship has killed too many people. Even if I don't take action, someone else will. Faceless smiled disdainfully and said, "Killed too many people? Our ghost ship only takes action once every few decades, and the number of casualties is no more than 1,000. Those who practice in the fishery every day have killed themselves. You're telling me that you've killed too many people?" The law enforcer narrowed his eyes. Different in nature. Faceless waved his hand impatiently. "What do you mean different in nature? I think it's the same. Are you going to fight or not? If you don't, I'll withdraw my troops. I still have to repair the ship." The law enforcer said lightly, "Faceless, you killed a hidden fisher guarding the level 3 fishery. You have to give us an explanation." "Bah, bullsh asterisk t. Just tell those be asterisk stards in the 1,000-star city that I killed him. If they are unhappy and want to retaliate, just come. I'll take it. Kill me if you dare. If you can't, I'll make the 1,000-star city decline for 20 years. Do you believe me?" The old law enforcer was not annoyed, but just smiled faintly. "This is also an explanation. I'll go back and report to my superiors. But don't do it again. You know, there are not many people who are really afraid of you, Faceless. You know what they are afraid of. Humph." Faceless snorted coldly, not even looking at the old law enforcer. The law enforcer was also very sensible, as if the death of a hidden fisher was not a big deal to him. He didn't even pick up the body, but walked away with his hands behind his back. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. "That's AF asterisk King Law Enforcer. You're running your mouth off with him. Are you that awesome?" In the sky, the bright moonlight essence was still shining on the array, making the brilliance in the array more and more intense. Faceless landed on the boat and glanced at Han Fei and the others. "How is it? Is it very powerful?" Everyone, Luo Xiaobai asked. "So, Senior, who are you exactly? You chose to save us and are so hostile to the 1,000-star city. I think you are not from the 1,000-star city, so it has nothing to do with my family. So, it should have something to do with their background. But as far as I know, Han Fei and the others have not lived a complicated life since childhood. They shouldn't have an elder like you, so... Senior, are you related to the Thug Academy?" Faceless glanced at Luo Xiaobai and shouted, "Guess, guess, guess." Luo Xiaobai shrugged. "Okay, I already know the result. So you are Senior Uncle?" Han Fei was speechless. "Xiaobai, how can you guess this?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "You take care of us so much, and I heard that the Thug Academy is so strong. Isn't it clear enough?" Han Fei curled his lips and said, "If you are our senior uncle, would you ask us for money?" Han Fei and Luo Xiaobai echoed each other, and the Faceless snorted coldly. "What's wrong with senior uncle? Can't senior uncle ask for money? Don't you need to eat?" Zhang Xuanyu and the others hurriedly exclaimed, "Is it really senior uncle?" Lu Renquang said, "Greetings, senior uncle." Xia Shaochan said, "Hello, senior uncle." The Faceless snorted and didn't deny it. However, he said, "Money has nothing to do with you. My specter has suffered a lot of damage and needs to be repaired with 5 billion yuan. Maybe it's not enough. Han Fei was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. What the F***CK? Repairing the ship with 5 billion yuan is not enough? I've checked it. The dozens of holes are all ordinary spirit-level materials, which are abundant in the level 3 fishery. Han Fei asked, what about the spirit awakening fluid? What about the soul crystals? The Faceless waved his hand and said, no, none of them. I've already given you a lot of benefits. You still want to cheat me of the spirit awakening fluid? You wish. Lu Renquang scratched his belly. Senior uncle, didn't we buy it? The Faceless sneered. You can try to buy the spirit awakening fluid. Let's see who will sell it to you. Zhang Xuanyu said, Senior uncle, why don't you sell some more? F***CK off. Luo Xiaobai asked, Senior uncle, why are you in the level 3 fishery? Why do you control the specter? And why do you wear a mask? The Faceless man said angrily, you, little girl, why do you have so many questions? Luo Xiaobai was stunned by his roar and was a little at a loss. Xia Shaochan roared, Senior uncle, what are you roaring for? Is your voice loud? Han Fei was speechless. These people are really stupid. Knowing that I'm one of them, they started to yell at me. The Faceless man was speechless by Xia Shaochan's retort. What kind of F***king student is she? The Faceless man sighed. It's getting harder and harder to teach students these days. You don't need to know why I'm in the level 3 fishery. It's impossible for me to return the money to you. But I would like to meet you guys. The Faceless man stretched out his hand and waved, and a mist of light covered them. When he took off the mask, the 5 of them all gasped. Wow! Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan almost took a step back subconsciously. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Senior uncle, are you shameless? In front of everyone, there was really a Faceless man. His face seemed to have been cut by a knife. His whole face had no eyes, no eyebrows, no nose. There was only a slit in his mouth, which seemed to have been cut by a knife. The Faceless man snorted and immediately put on the mask. The reason why I took it off for you is to tell you that the future is very dangerous and the enemy is very strong. The future is very dangerous and the enemy is very strong. You should cherish this opportunity. Chapter 548. He would be lying if he said he wasn't shocked. The strength that Junior Uncle Faceless displayed just now was boundlessly strong. Han Fei even felt that if this Junior Uncle Faceless fought with Xiaozhan, Xiaozhan might not be able to beat him. Xiaozhan had never launched such a strong attack before. The axe cleaved through the seawater. Han Fei smiled. Junior Uncle, it's nothing. I have 1,000 faces technique. Do you want it? You can change your face to whatever you want. With that said, Han Fei threw a jade slip over. Junior Uncle Faceless took it and was stunned. Demon level divine quality? Didn't you buy a mysterious level disguise technique last time? How did it become a demon level divine quality one? Han Fei smiled. I happened to pick it up. Come on, you can try it again. It's a coincidence. However, the Faceless man threw the jade slip back to Han Fei and said, it's useless. A heaven-level divine quality, one may be useful, but a demon-level divine quality, one is useless. Han Fei said slyly, Junior Uncle, it's fine if you don't want it. This is the first time we meet. Should I give you a gift? F***CK off. Junior Uncle Faceless waved his hand and pushed the 5 of them into the big array. Junior Uncle Faceless said, money is a bad thing. It can easily corrupt people. You don't need it now. Also, don't wear an ultra-quality battle suit all day. It's dazzling. At this moment, the big array seemed to have been activated, and everyone felt that their vision was a little blurred. In the end, everyone only heard her say, Han Fei, I just read your fortune again. Something is wrong. Your love tribulation is not over yet. You have to be careful and prepare some trump cards for yourself. Han Fei's face suddenly changed. Junior uncle, don't slander me. What? Alas! Xia Shaochan, don't move. Blue Sea Town. The level 2 fishery. In the night, a bright beam of light in the sky suddenly smashed into the sea. After a while, 5 heads emerged from the sea. Han Fei was speechless. Huh? Is it a teleportation error? Why are we still at sea? Xia Shaochan had already slashed out with a shadowless knife, and a dragon-head fish was cut in half. Dragon-head fish. This is the level 2 fishery. After a while, the 5 of them lay on the fishing boat, and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp lay on the top of the fishing boat, pulling the 9-star chain casually in the seawater, preventing those stupid creatures from climbing onto the fishing boat. Different from the creatures in the level 3 fishery, the creatures in the level 2 fishery were very stupid and had no intelligence at all. However, they always felt that they were particularly fierce and wanted to attack anyone they saw. So Han Fei could only ask Shrimp Retian to protect them, and the 5 of them ate hot pot in the cabin. The hexagon starfish suddenly said, "Can I just stay here?" Lu Renquang said, "Huh? Senpai Hexagon, it would be great if you could come with us. The level 2 fishery is so boring." Xia Shaochan asked, "Big starfish, why do you always want to escape?" Holding a jar of wine, the hexagon starfish rolled its big eyes randomly as if it had suddenly collapsed. It wailed in the language of starfish. "It's too dangerous to follow you. Every time you guys fight, my brain feels like it's going to jump out. Starfish don't fight. Starfish can just find a small secret realm if they want to." Han Fei patted the deck, and the hexagon starfish's tentacles trembled in fright. Han Fei said, "Dangerous? Dangerous? Didn't you lose a tentacle or something? You want to stay, don't you? Come on, I'll cut off one of your tentacles. Isn't it said that starfish only need 1 tentacle to grow a new starfish? Let the hexagon starfish stay here and you come with us." The hexagon starfish immediately shrank its 6 tentacles. "Who told you that? That's an ordinary starfish. It can give birth to new starfish with its tentacles. Starfish like us can't lose even 1 tentacle. Besides, this sea area doesn't have the ability to breed a second hexagon starfish." Han Fei grinned. "That's it. Don't talk nonsense. You can eat and drink whatever you want. What else do you want?" Threatened by Han Fei, the hexagon starfish suddenly stopped talking, only full of feelings. Starfish, 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 starfish. Why did starfish meet this terrible human being? After a hearty meal, Zhang Xuanyu asked, "When are you going back to school?" Han Fei asked back. Everyone looked at Han Fei, and Lu Renquang said, "No, why not?" Han Fei said leisurely, "You see, we've been working hard in the level 3 fishery for 8 or 9 months, right? There's still more than 2 months to go before the 1-year deadline. How about we play for 2 months? Xia Shaochan immediately asked curiously, "Play what?" Han Fei said, "Oh, just rest for 2 months, floating on the sea every day, occasionally basking in the sun, fishing, eating hot pot, and relaxing. What do you think?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "I'll go back to school." Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Can I go home?" Everyone was surprised, and Lu Renquang said, "Didn't you float back from another town? How do you go back?" Zhang Xuanyu shrugged. "I float back the way I came here." Han Fei nodded. "We'll go with you. We can also see what other villages are like." Zhang Xuanyu shook his head. "I'll go back alone to deal with something." Luo Xiaobai said no. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, "Why not?" Luo Xiaobai glanced at him. "You can't cross the no man's land. I don't know how you floated here and how the president brought you back, but you can't do it alone. Either someone goes with you, or go back to school and then go." Zhang Xuanyu. Lu Renquang shook his head. "No, I want to lie in the sun, sleep, and eat hot pot." Han Fei was about to speak when Xia Shaochan pinched him. Forget it, I'll go home too. Xia Shaochan said, I'll go with Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time, and then reluctantly looked at Luo Xiaobai. Will you go back with me? Luo Xiaobai nodded. Yes. The next day, Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai left on a ghost-speed divine boat. Han Fei looked at Xia Shaochan and said, Why don't we go and have a look? Before Xia Shaochan spoke, Lu Renkuang said, Are you stupid? Why did Zhang Xuanyu float here from another town alone? There must be a reason. Since he said he wanted to be alone this time, there must be something he doesn't want us to see. Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes. Besides, Xiaobai is from a big family in the 1,000-star city. He's not afraid at all. You can't help him. Han Fei was speechless. Humph. Nonsense. Han Fei was speechless when he saw Lu Renkuang humming a strange accent while setting up the hot pot. This guy was AF * King Pig. He had just had 2 meals last night, and now he was having a 3rd meal? Han Fei said, Master Fatty, you can eat here. If you're full, go back to school by yourself. Lu Renkuang was taken aback. Wait, are you going too? Didn't you say you wanted to bask in the sun and eat hot pot? Han Fei rolled his eyes. I said I was joking. I need to calm down. I need to empty myself. Xia Shaochan said, Kuang, go back by yourself after eating. When she was about to leave, Xia Shaochan pulled Master Hexagon Starfish off Han Fei's shoulder and threw it to Lu Renkuang. Take the big starfish back with you. Otherwise, I'll deal with you. Lu Renkuang. On the way to the Heavenly Water Village, Han Fei asked, Xia Shaochan, where is your home? Xia Shaochan tilted her head and said, I don't know. Han Fei was helpless. Is there no one in your family? Xia Shaochan thought for a while and said, I have a grandmother, but she is gone. Han Fei was taken aback. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Ba. Don't be sad. My grandmother is not dead. She just left. Huh? Han Fei asked in surprise. Left? Where did she go? Xia Shaochan shook her head. I don't know. She seems to have gone to a place far, far away. She said that one day, when I can defeat a man with wings, I might be able to find her. Puff! Han Fei asked in astonishment, A hidden fisher? Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes, I didn't know it until later. Han Fei couldn't help but wonder. It seemed that Xia Shaochan's origin was also very extraordinary. Luo Xiaobai was only from the 1,000-star city, so she should be above his head. Xia Shaochan was not above his head, and he had to defeat a hidden fisher to find her. How long would it take? Xia Shaochan asked, What about you? Didn't you say that there was no one at home? Han Fei said with a smile, There is no one at home, but I still have a mansion and fertile land at home. Xia Shaochan nodded. But why don't we go back to school directly? Han Fei said with a headache, I have a hunch that something will happen as soon as we go back to school. We haven't reached the deadline yet. We have to take the time to relax and calm down. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't have a chance later. Hey, okay. Anyway, I have nowhere to go. Let's go and see what your parents are like. Okay. The fishing boat drew a beautiful arc in the sky, gradually disappearing in the colorful clouds and the early morning glow. Latest chapter of Fishing God. Full text of Fishing God /87199/ download address of Fishing God /87199/ mobile reading address of Fishing God /87199/ for the convenience of reading next time. You can click Collect on the right to record this time, Chapter 548. Do you want to play for 2 months? Read the record. You can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Fishing God, please recommend Green Bean to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 549. Welcome the new leader. Qingyan Xiaoguan added a chapter. He could never get enough of the scenery on Levitating Island. When he got up in the morning, The sun shrouded the ocean, the golden red light poured between the clouds, and countless fishermen went out to sea to fish. This was a magnificent scene, full of life. In the plantation, Han Fei opened his eyes from cultivation. When the first ray of dawn shone, the spiritual energy in the entire plantation would riot. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered and spread in the plantation. Han Fei's body ignited with flames. However, a ball of water immediately enveloped him until the flames were extinguished. Han Fei stopped cultivating and looked up at the rising sun. This was the 10th time he had tried to absorb the spiritual energy in the sun. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it every time. But Han Fei was sure that the sun seemed to contain not only spiritual energy, but also mysterious energy that was more violent than spiritual energy, which could gather spiritual energy in an instant. If he was careless, he might be burned by the sky fire. Han Fei had never understood why there were no birds or beasts on the floating island. This place was not small, and there were a large number of rock nests on the floating island, which should be enough for hundreds of millions of birds to live in. Right? Ring, ring. Just when Han Fei was pondering, Xia Shaochan, dressed in beautiful clothes, came to the center of the plantation at the end of the path. Since Han Fei left the Heavenly Water Village, the people of the fish dragons had not been idle at all. The training ground used by Han Fei and Jiang Qin had been polished, paved with blue stones, and a path leading to the gate of the plantation had been opened. Xia Shaochan said to Han Fei with sleepy eyes, "I want to eat pot stickers." Han Fei stretched his body and said, "You can make it yourself. Didn't I teach you how to make it?" Xia Shaochan hummed and said lazily, "No, it's not as delicious as yours." After a moment, on the wooden table at the gate of the plantation, Han Fei carried 4 large plates of pot stickers, 2 for each of them. This was the benefit of cultivation. If cultivators wanted to eat, they could eat as much as they wanted. They could eat from morning to night without worrying about getting fat. Han Fei picked up a pot sticker and dipped it into the vinegar on the plate. "Today we're going to the school next door to mobilize the teachers and students. Do you think we should prepare some gifts or something?" Xia Shaochan was stuffing pot stickers into her mouth, not caring about her image at all. She raised her head and said to Han Fei, "Can you send a few fish or a few crabs, lobsters or something?" Han Fei asked in surprise, "Isn't it too cheap? Don't we still have more than 600 battle techniques? I think we can just throw 100 books here. What do you think?" Xia Shaochan shook her head. Among those combat skills and techniques, the lowest level is the spiritual level, which they can't use at all. If you want to put up books, then put up 10 or so books as a reward for outstanding students in the future. Han Fei nodded solemnly. Sounds reasonable. The situation of the Heavenly Water Village had changed slightly. It turned out that there were 4 schools in the east, west, south, north, and south, but now there was another one next to the plantation. The name of this school was Fish Dragon Central Primary School, which was a casual name given by Han Fei. At first, Han Fei only planned to let some of the children of the fish dragons study in it. In the future, when they grew up, they could continue to fill in the blood of the fish dragons. It wouldn't be like the Blue Sea Town, where a large number of outsiders were hired to manage gang affairs. In Han Fei's words, this was called sustainable development. Although he didn't intend to spend time on the fish dragons, it was easy for him to put forward some constructive suggestions. Later, he found that the strength and talent of the children attending classes in the Fish Dragon Central Primary School were generally higher because of the rich supply of resources here. It could be described in 3 words, and that was not short of money. As a result, many people in the Heavenly Water Village wanted to send their children here. Because of this, many people scrambled to join the fish dragons, which made the fish dragons expand again and forced to become the largest gang in the history of the Heavenly Water Village. Because the tradition of the fish dragons was not to bully the people and drive the sustainable economic development of the village. Therefore, Now all the famous people in the village had to register with the fish dragons. For example, at this moment, in the office of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei's teacher, Wang Jie, was invited by the gang to serve as the honorary principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. Originally, the position of principal should have belonged to the old village leader. However, the village leader refused, saying that he was the head of a village after all, and it would be inappropriate for him to be the principal of a school. Because He Xiaoyu used to have a good relationship with Han Fei, He Mingtang was inexplicably invited to serve as the vice principal of the Fish Dragon Central Primary School. At this moment, Han Fei came over with several caddies of pot stickers and greeted Wang Jie and He Mingtang. "Teacher, good morning." Wang Jie had never thought that Han Fei would become one of the best students he had ever had. When he saw Han Fei again, he sighed with emotion. As for the other student, Tang Ge, he thought he might not be able to see him anymore. After entering the Thousand-Star City, how could he have a chance to come back? Wang Jie joked, "I asked you to come here to motivate the students, but you didn't come until you had dinner at home. It's already time for class." Han Fei smiled and said, "You have to eat. Here, I brought some for you and Mr. He." Wang Jie took the pot stickers without hesitation, grabbed one, stuffed it into his mouth, and then handed it to He Mingtang. "Old He, have some." He Mingtang got up, grabbed a pot sticker, and stuffed it into his mouth. He glanced at Han Fei and Xia Shaochan next to him. "Han Fei, you two have stayed in the village for almost a month instead of going back to the town. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the teachers?" Han Fei said with a smile, "Our trial is not over yet. When we left, we said it would be a year, but we're still half a month late." He Mingtang took a deep look at Han Fei. "Young man, restrain yourself. The more outstanding you are, the more you can't slack off. Are you two going to get married?" "Pooh, cough, cough." Xia Shaochan blushed. After getting married, she would have children. She didn't dare to think about it at all. Han Fei was embarrassed. "How can I get married? How old am I?" Han Fei hurriedly said, "No, I don't. It's a good time for us to cultivate and study. We still have to go to the unknown place in the future. It's too early to get married." The unknown place. Wang Jie and He Mingtang looked serious. That's a dangerous place. They didn't know where the unknown place was and what it looked like. They didn't know what the level 3 fishery was like either. Even He Mingtang was only a peak-level fishing master and hadn't become a great fishing master yet. How could he know so much? But that was one thing. They had all heard of the rumors of the unknown place. In their ears, they had never heard that one could come back from the unknown place after going there. He Mingtang sighed with emotion. How long has it been? In less than 4 years, Han Fei, who he thought was not promising, had become a genius who could go to the level 3 fishery. Yes, in He Mingtang's view, anyone who could go to the level 3 fishery was already a genius. During this period of time, his daughter had been working hard to reach the point where she could be both a battle soul master and a hunter. At this moment, she could be regarded as an influential figure in the first academy of the Blue Sea town. However, she could only go to the level 2 fishery to cultivate. It would take at least 2 years for her to go to the level 3 fishery. The mobilization meeting was actually very simple. Most of the students here were members of the fish dragons, and all of them were full of admiration for Han Fei. They felt that it was extremely remarkable that Han Fei could single-handedly wipe out the former tigers, establish the fish dragons, and lead the fish dragons to prosperity. Han Fei made some nonsensical remarks. He talked about studying hard, making progress every day, and striving to enter the Blue Sea town. Li Qing had been following Han Fei. Until now, he still felt that it was a very wise choice to betray the tigers and follow Han Fei. Han Fei said in front of all the teachers and students, "Everyone listen up. From now on, all cultivation resources will be doubled. Any student of this school who becomes a fishing master will be given a weapon and a fishing rod. Whoever becomes a great fishing master will be given a low-quality spiritual weapon and a spiritual fruit. Good luck. Huh. Thank you, leader. Leader, you're so powerful. Help me, I love you. Leader, Wang Jie and the others clicked their tongues. This is F** King Rich. Wang Jie elbowed He Mingtang. Old He, why didn't you keep an eye on this kid? If he becomes Xiaoyu's girlfriend, he will be a member of our family. He Mingtang sighed. Who knew that this kid would be so outstanding later? However, I won't force him. I told Xiaoyu not to force him either. After all, not everyone can follow Han Fei's path. I heard that Han Fei killed a hanging fisher in the level 3 fishery. Even if Xiaoyu can follow him, do you think it will be a blessing or a curse? Wang Jie was shocked. Really fake? This is not a joke. He Mingtang sighed. Xiaoyu told her that it was Xian Zuozua, a heavenly talent from the Blue Sea town. The news is absolutely true. Wang Jie was stunned for a long time. What are you afraid of? Look, isn't he fine now? Chapter 550. After leaving the Fish Dragon Central Primary School, Han Fei asked Xia Shaochan to go to sea. The village leader said he would come to visit in the evening, so Han Fei planned to go to the fishery to get some seafood. After all, the ordinary creatures in Forge the Universe were all given to little time last time. As for the remaining yellow-blooded sea cucumbers, the village leader might not be able to bear it. Of course, in addition to catching some seafood, Han Fei also planned to wander around the 8 villages today. 1 hour later, Han Fei appeared over the Heavenlywood Village. As its name suggested, the Heavenlywood Village was basically covered by big trees, and most people lived in the trees or built tree houses in the forest. Only the area near the port was open air, probably for the convenience of going to sea or something. Han Fei had flown around the Heavenlywood Village several times, holding a fish skin map and drawing something from time to time. Xia Shaochan asked curiously, "Haven't you studied it thoroughly? What's there to draw about these villages?" Han Fei shook his head and said, "Do you remember that Junior Uncle Faceless told us that the level 3 fishery is a big array?" Xia Shaochan nodded. "Yes. Aren't there arrays between the floating islands?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. What kind of array is it that spans hundreds of thousands of kilometers? I can't study the level 3 fishery, but I can study the arrays between the villages and towns first." Han Fei had too many questions to figure out in the level 3 fishery. What secrets were hidden in the sea grassland? Why could people transform into fish there? What was the book in Forge the Universe that he didn't dare to open? Why did the undersea city fall? Why did it fight against the fish tide in the sea for hundreds of years? What was the altar of the steps into the sea? Where did the offerings go, and where did the rewards come from? What was sealed under the steps into the sea? Who cut out the cracks in the abyssal chasm? What was hidden in that arcane realm that could not be entered and that could not be reached? Han Fei felt that everyone was wrapped in a series of huge secrets. Of course, Han Fei didn't have the ability to explore those things now. However, the trip to the level 3 fishery made him fully realize the importance of arrays, especially the killing arrays. Those things were so terrifying that they could kill a large number of peak-level dangling fishers. Those who didn't have the ability didn't dare to break the killing arrays. Xia Shaochan asked, "What have you found out?" Han Fei pondered for a long time. "I found out that every village should be the eye of the array." Puff! Xia Shaochan rolled her eyes at Han Fei. "Do I need you to tell me that? I know that." Han Fei shrugged. It wasn't his fault. He really didn't understand. Village in the plantation. Han Fei made a few dishes and said with a smile, "Grandpa Leader, can I ask you something?" Has been the village, town grassland. The village leader was coveting the steamed lobster. He was stunned for a moment. 100 years. God village, Town Fei, Xiaoping town. County school, Fei's town, Fei school. The village that dragon had school. Fei school is Shan school. Zhou time. Long time the town family school has school li zhou shao school, long school. Li zhou Fei town have town. School. Tian High City, town village school. The Heavenly Water Village used to be next door to the Heavenly Heart Village, and it was the closest place to the Heavenly Heart Village. Unfortunately, it declined and was moved to where it is now. Han Fei asked in surprise, "Our village used to be next to the Heavenly Heart Village?" The village leader picked up a large piece of lobster meat, stuffed it into his mouth, and nodded in praise. "TSK not bad. It used to be. Our Heavenly Water Village used to have many talents and great fishing masters. Later, many of them died in the level 3 fishery and then declined." Xia Shaochan wondered, "Then didn't you continue to cultivate talents?" The village leader smiled bitterly. "Sometimes it depends on luck. Only when geniuses rise will there be people who will follow them. If no geniuses are born for a period of time, the village will decline. This is an unchanging truth." Han Fei asked, "Is there nothing else important? Like sea monsters or something like that?" The village leader said, "Yes. This is recorded in the annals of our Heavenly Water Village. But you don't have to read it. About 50 years ago, it is said that a giant dragon passed through the ordinary fishery and finally plunged into the ordinary fishery. However, I didn't see it at that time. I just heard about it. Should we go fishing or not?" Han Fei frowned. In this kind of place, he would rather believe in some legends. This experience made him deeply realize that he didn't know much about the known fisheries. Sizzle. The village leader took a sip of wine and said, "And it seems to be about 8 or 9 years ago. Anyway, it was about 10 years ago. At that time, dozens of hidden fishers came to the Heavenly Water Village. I remember that day very clearly. There was a big boat in the sky, and the clouds in the sky were scattered. The hidden fishers stood on the bow of the boat, and a battle broke out in the sky." Han Fei's eyes lit up. "What battle?" The village leader said grumpily, "How would I know? What was my level and what was their level? I couldn't even see who was fighting who. Anyway, the battle lasted less than half an hour and they left." Han Fei picked up a drunken lobster and put it into his mouth in disappointment. This battle was a bit interesting, but the village leader didn't know anything, so he couldn't understand it. The village leader said, "Why do you ask this? You invited me to dinner just to ask this?" Han Fei chuckled. "I just want to know the history of our Heavenly Water Village." The village leader smacked his lips and said, "What's there to know? By the way, when will you and Miss Shaochan get married? You're going to be old soon. Do you want to leave a seed in the village?" Puff! Cough, cough! Xia Shaochan coughed out a fishball, her face flushed. Han Fei was speechless. "No, Grandpa Leader, am I old? We young people should work hard to cultivate, strive to transcend, and strive to enter the 1,000-star city and the unknown sea." Xia Shaochan agreed very much. "Yes, Han Fei is right." The village leader shook his head slightly. "Young people like to take risks. So do you, so do Xiao Wushuang, and even he Xiao Yu. Alas!" Han Fei. Suddenly he heard the village chief say, "That sickly father of yours also loves to brag." In the end, he blew his own trumpet until he disappeared. Han Fei was taken aback. "Wait, village leader, do you know my father?" The village leader sneered. "I know many people in the Heavenly Water Village. Your father, right? He was clearly not that strong, and he was even weaker than me back then. But he was strong enough, wasn't he? At that time he bragged about how powerful he was in the unknown place. But when I asked him what the unknown place was, he couldn't tell me anything. How could a great fishing master know anything about the unknown place? In the end, he died outside, didn't he?" Han Fei frowned. "That's not what I remember." Although his memories of his cheap father were rather vague, he had always remembered that his cheap father had died in the unknown place, right? Suddenly, Han Fei froze. "That's not right." How strong must one be to go to the unknown place? Doesn't that mean that my father was at least a peak-level dangling fisher? Han Fei couldn't remember for a while. In his memory, someone seemed to come to him and tell him that his father died in the unknown place outside the level 3 fishery. Tang Gu also knew about this. The crux of the matter was not where this cheap father had died. If he was a strong master, why would he stay in a small place like the Heavenly Water Village? On the next day, Han Fei and Xia Shaochan explored the ordinary fishery for the nth time. Just like Jiang Qin, Han Fei searched almost inch by inch, especially those places covered by seaweed. Han Fei specially went to check them. Unfortunately, in the end, he still couldn't find anything amiss. At this moment, Han Fei emerged from the water and saw Xia Xiaochan's 2 feet splashing water. Xia Shaochan saw Han Fei and said directly, "Boring, boring." Han Fei wiped the seawater on his face and said, "Okay, let's go back. Go back and inform the village leader and the others. Let's go back to school." Han Fei didn't bother to search anymore. At that time, Jiang Qin almost turned the ordinary fishery upside down and finally found the news about the sea quelling painting by accident. He didn't want to stay in this place for 3 or 5 years just to solve some doubts in his heart. Just as the two were about to return to the village, they saw a fishing boat flying over in the sky, and He Mingtang stood on the bow and waved. Before the fishing boat landed, he heard He Mingtang shouting, "Han Fei, save Xiaoyu." Han Fei's face changed, and he hurriedly asked, "What happened?" He Mingtang quickly took a breath. The village leader just got the news that a group of teachers and students of the First Academy had an accident in the deep-sea jungle of the Level 2 fishery. Xiaoyu should be among them. Because the Blue Sea town is far away, and you happen to be here, the village leader asked me to find you as soon as possible. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't be excited. I'll go now." He Mingtang nodded. "I'll go too." Han Fei nodded. "Get on the boat." First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 551. He Mingtang was dumbfounded. He had never been on such a fast fishing boat. In a few seconds, the fishing boat had gone straight up to the clouds, breaking through the air. Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. Do you know when they had an accident?" He Mingtang shook his head. "I don't know. They only said that Xiaoyu and the others went there without permission. The teachers of the First Academy soon found out and immediately sent someone back to the town, and then immediately sent someone to inform the village leaders of the nearest villages to rescue them." Han Fei frowned. 6 hours? Xia Shaochan suddenly said. "Did their teacher find them as soon as they went down?" He Mingtang nodded. "It seems so. After someone went back to call them, the teacher seemed to have gone down too." Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei. "How long did we stay down there?" Han Fei frowned. "It doesn't seem to be long. The point is that we don't know where they went down. We have to walk around to find out." The speed of the wind god boat was astonishingly fast. At full speed, it only took them less than an hour to arrive. When Han Fei arrived, he saw a group of students on the periphery of the deep-sea jungle, none of whom he knew. The sudden appearance of Han Fei's fishing boat startled everyone. Someone immediately recognized him. Han Fei? Xia Shaochan?" Han Fei didn't beat around the bush, but asked directly, "Where did they disappear?" Immediately, someone said, "Just ahead, about 50 kilometers. Swish! The wind god boat flashed away, leaving only a red shadow in everyone's eyes. After Han Fei and the others left, someone said dumbfoundedly, "Aren't Han Fei and the others in the Level 3 fishery?" Someone was stunned. "What kind of fishing boat is that? It's so fast." Someone said in surprise, "I heard that Han Fei and the others once broke into the deep-sea jungle. We can definitely rescue them." Han Fei didn't need to use the fishing boat at all. He could directly explore the bottom with his perception. When he was 50 kilometers away, Han Fei found traces of battle and people had died here. However, he didn't find He Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, this was the area near the clam silkworm's domain. It was really dangerous to go down from this place. The wind god boat shuttled back and forth above the deep-sea jungle, and it only took it 100 minutes to find these people beside the sea willow. When he saw these people, Han Fei was dumbfounded. There were a few familiar faces in the group. There were Wang Baiyu, Xiao Wushuang, Xiang Zuozua, Lin Xingmu, and Su Yabai. At this moment, they seemed to be in a rather sorry state. Xiang Zuozua raised her hammer and fought against the roar of the wooden fish. Lin Xingmu stood in front of everyone with a piece of spirit crystal. Su Yabai was trying to pluck a fruit from the sea willow. Han Fei was relieved and said, "Mr. He, it's okay. He's down there." He Mingtang was stunned. "Ah, how did you know?" Xia Shaochan smiled. "He's fine. He's fighting. He's quite good, isn't he, Han Fei?" Xia Shaochan said in a teasing tone. As a matter of fact, He Xiaoyu dodged the wooden fish's tongues that were coming at her at a high speed like an agile elf. He Xiaoyu was hovering among the willow trees with 2 daggers in her hands. Su Yabai was only helping He Xiaoyu shake off the tongues so that she could grab the wood's spiritual fruit. Han Fei chuckled dryly. He Xiaoyu was using the full set of the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. The only thing that Han Fei didn't understand was when He Xiaoyu became a hunter. Han Fei said she picked 3 fruits for them. Xia Shaochan said, "Don't look down on her. After all, she's a dangling fisher now. It would be strange if she couldn't get the fruits." He Mingtang asked anxiously, "What's going on down there? Why aren't you anxious at all?" Han Fei said, "Mr. He, don't worry. There are 3 intermediate dangling fishers down there. Are you worried that something will happen to Xiaoyu?" Dangling fishers? Thud! The surface of the sea trembled. He Mingtang was startled, but he took a long breath in relief. "There are dangling fishers. Why should we ask for help? I was so scared." Han Fei said, "Maybe someone arrived first. Let's just wait up there. I'll take action when necessary." At this moment, Han Fei and Xia Shaochan looked at each other. They both remembered a tiny tree ant. At that time, they tried to attack the tiny tree ant, but the tiny tree ant didn't fight back. Then Wenrinyu arrived in time and allowed them to grab 5 with spiritual fruits. At this moment, He Xiaoyu and the others had grabbed 3, but the tiny tree ant didn't come out. Xia Shaochan suggested, "Should I go down and look for it?" Han Fei nodded. "Okay, you go down and take a look first. I'll see if I can find it up there." He Mingtang asked, "What are you looking for?" Han Fei said, "There's a special creature in this water. As long as the creature doesn't come out, He Xiaoyu and the others will be fine. However, I think it's coming out soon." "A special creature? Underwater?" Xiang Zuozua said angrily, "Damn it, these wooden fish are too annoying. Su Yabai, can you control them?" Su Yabai said telepathically, "They're too dense. Moreover, from the start, the power of the rumbling has become stronger, as if something is controlling these trees." Lin Xingmu said, "Hurry up. Although we're already dangling fishers, my spiritual energy is not enough for so many of you." Lin Xingmu said, "He Xiaoyu, you're agile. Follow Xiang Zuozua and grab the wood spiritual fruits as soon as she breaks the attack." Xia Wushuang was waving his sword. "Hey, I can't hit them. Are these trees sentient?" Wang Baiyu held his shield and protected himself and Lin Xingmu. He couldn't help but say, "I should have practiced swordsmanship earlier. It's useless to leave them here." He Xiaoyu was standing on Xiang Zuozua's sledgehammer and leaping out. She moved and twisted among the countless vines, reaching for a glowing with spiritual fruit. "Got it." He Xiaoyu suddenly beamed with joy. She cut off a willow branch and was about to return. But after she retreated dozens of meters, she suddenly felt a pain in her head, and then she was thrown away. Xiang Zuozua roared, "Not good! Something's coming." Hardly had Xiang Zuozua shouted when Suyabai, who was controlling the spider threads, was slapped away by a vine and rolled dozens of times on the ground. Xiang Zuozua raised her water hammer, and the shadow of the hammer was dozens of meters long, smashed at the whipping vine. Bam! Xiang Zuozua was flung away and rolled in the water for a while. At the same time, Lin Xingmu, Xiao Wushuang, and Wang Baiyu were all slapped away. A voice suddenly came to everyone's ears. Enough! Don't take any more. He Xiaoyu was stunned, bleeding from her eyes, nose, and mouth. What's talking? She was dumbfounded to see a little treant emerging from the bottom of the sea. A talking treant? Xiang Zuozua was too impatient to care about what it was. How could she, a dangling fisher, be defeated in the level 2 fishery? Pa! The vine broke through the air and whipped Xiang Zuozua violently again. Don't come again. However, nobody listened. Lin Xingmu covered them with spider threads, and Lin Xingmu covered them with a layer of spiritual armor. The two of them charged at the little treant at the same time. Pa! A dry vine suddenly appeared and wrapped the two of them. They were defeated so quickly that Lin Xingmu hurriedly said, "Senior, let's go. Let's go." However, the little treant ignored him and looked up. A golden fist mark fell from the sky. Pa! 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 After 3 consecutive lashes, the fist mark was broken. But then dozens of fist marks smashed down. However, at the same time, hundreds of withered vines appeared in the seawater and whipped at these fist marks. The little treant had no time to care about He Xiaoyu and Xiao Wushuang. Instead, it asked in confusion, "It's you? You're here again." When Han Fei appeared in the water, He Xiaoyu was stunned. He Xiaoyu said in surprise, "Han Fei?" Xiao Wushuang asked, "Why are you here? Am I dreaming?" Xiang Zuozua was stunned to see Han Fei. "You're back." Su Yabai and Lin Xingmu were not familiar with Han Fei, so they just nodded. They were no match for Han Fei, but they didn't want to suck up to him, especially after Han Fei caused so much trouble in the level 3 fishery. They knew very well that it would be a piece of cake for Han Fei to kill them. The little treant said, "Human, you shouldn't have come." Han Fei said with a smile, "The wood's spiritual fruit is not valuable. The 6 of them only have 4. Give me 2 more." The little treant suddenly lashed back, but Xia Xiaochan's figure flashed. Then Xia Xiaochan performed the 1,000-strike technique and pierced the little treant into a plug in the blink of an eye. When Xia Xiaochan stopped attacking, the withered vines on the ground twisted, and the little treant reappeared unscathed. He Xiaoyu and the others were dumbfounded by this scene. How fast was Xia Xiaochan just now? How could such a strong little treant be crushed in the blink of an eye? The little treant looked at Xia Xiaochan. "Human, don't force me to fight." Han Fei narrowed his eyes and said, "So what if I fight?" Second update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 552. The little treant didn't know what kind of creature it was. Seeing Han Fei's eagerness, it didn't remind him again. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat, and he shouted, "Back off!" A withered vine suddenly appeared in front of Han Fei. Han Fei punched it 8 times in a row with the art of invincibility to block it. But the second vine had already arrived. At this time, Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell and the art of invincibility again. But the result was the same. He was blasted back dozens of meters again. Xia Xiaochan was flashing with red light, but she was no match for the little treant in speed and was also slapped away. Han Fei was shocked. Even with the majestic mystic spell, I still can't beat it? Han Fei's eyes turned cold, and the red light on his fist was blazing. The terrifying power made the seawater tremble. Again, as soon as the sacrificing punch was launched, the fist mark tens of meters in size flew through the seawater like a fiery dragon. The soil under its feet exploded, and the terrifying power swept across a radius of 100 meters. The little tree ant threw out its vine expressionlessly. This time it was no longer a thin vine, but a withered vine as thick as 10 meters. Rumble. On the sea, He Ming-Tang was waiting anxiously, and then he felt the seawater bulge. The students of the First Academy, waiting outside the deep-sea jungle, were all shocked. What happened? It seems to be happening underwater. Such a violent vibration. Did something happen down there? Under the water, Xiaoyu and the others were directly shaken out. This battle was no longer something they could watch. Han Fei slid back dozens of meters again. However, this time the little tree ant also slid back dozens of meters. When Xia Shaochan was about to attack again, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Stop fighting." Han Fei was still frightened. He guessed that if he continued to fight, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Han Fei looked at the little tree ant. "Why are you in the level 2 fishery?" The little tree ant said, "No need to ask. Leave." The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. 5 with spiritual fruits. The little tree ant pondered for a moment. "You have already eaten." Han Fei said mischievously, "I have a few junior brothers." The little tree ant put down its wrought tan-like hand and paused for a moment. "Next time there will be no more." With that, 5 with spiritual fruits flew to Han Fei. Han Fei grinned. "Hey, when can I come again?" The little tree ant paused and looked at Han Fei, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. Han Fei shrugged. Okay. I'll go, okay?" Then Han Fei looked at Xiaoyu and the others and threw 2 with spiritual fruits at them. "What are you waiting for? Go up." On the surface of the water, Xiaoyu was surprised to see He Ming-Tang. "Dad, why are you here?" He Ming-Tang extended his finger and pressed it against Xiaoyu's forehead. You're getting crazier and crazier. What place is dangerous? Why do you run there? He's already gone to ask for help. Otherwise, why do you think I'm here?" Xiaoyu bared her white teeth and said, "Dad, I'm fine." Then Xiaoyu looked at Han Fei and secretly glanced at Xia Shaochan, saying with a smile, "Han Fei, when did you come back?" Han Fei shrugged. "I've been back for a while. Mister he has known it for a long time. But you don't go back to the Heavenly Water Village now." Then Han Fei looked at Zuazua and the other 2. Han Fei said, "A soul warrior, a spirit gatherer and a manipulator. Where is Li Hani? If you had an armorist who attacks in a large area, he would have picked the fruits. The little tree ant probably wouldn't have come out." Everyone was speechless. "Don't you know why Li Hani didn't come?" Xia Shaochan added, "You're a disgrace to the dangling fishers." Xiang Zuozua said angrily, "Disgrace? It's because the wooden fish is too annoying. Otherwise, I would have snatched it." Han Fei didn't bother to talk to Xiang Zuozua. He bumped Xiao Wushuang's shoulder and said with a smile, "Back to school or back to the village?" Xiao Wushuang nodded. "Back to the village, back to the village. It's rare to see each other. Let's have dinner tonight." This was a daunting but not dangerous experience. He Ming-Tang was the one who was the most afraid. However, now the girl's strength had surpassed his, and he couldn't do anything about it. In the evening, they just had a casual dinner in the plantation. At the dinner table, Xiaoyu said, "I heard that you made a big deal in the level 3 fishery." Han Fei wondered, "How did the town know about the level 3 fishery?" Xiao Wushuang said with a smile, "Have you forgotten who we're going to train with today? It said that you made a lot of noise." "Ahem. I just want to ask, what realm are you in now?" Wang Baiyu, Xiao Wushuang, and Xiaoyu's eyes were shining. They were all F** king, hanging fishers. This was beyond their imagination. They had discussed in private that Han Fei had probably become a hanging fisher at this time. Han Fei smiled and said, "I'm still a dangling fisher." Phew! The 3 of them breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Otherwise, they would be scared to death. However, even if he was a dangling fisher, it was amazing enough. At first glance, They knew he was much stronger than Xiang Zuozua and the others. Han Fei said, "Don't go to the deep-sea jungle in the future. It's weird there." Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei. "When you were fighting, I went to look for it, but I didn't find anything strange." Han Fei said, "It means that we are not strong enough." Xia Shaochan nodded and ate. She was completely unfamiliar with He Xiaoyu and the others. Besides, she was a little uncomfortable. She hadn't adapted to this month's life yet. She felt that she still liked school life, where there were only a few people, and everyone was very familiar with each other. This meal was very ordinary and also very strange. He Xiaoyu and Xia Shaochan didn't talk from beginning to end. He Xiaoyu glanced at Han Fei from time to time, and Xia Shaochan, who had been with Han Fei for a long time, saw it. She stepped on Han Fei's foot under the dinner table. Han Fei couldn't bear it. "We're just King pure friends." After the meal, Han Fei warmly saw them off. He Xiaoyu suddenly said, "Han Fei, will you go to the 36-town competition?" What competition?" Wang Baiyu shrugged. "Not necessarily. Who are they going to fight?" He Xiaoyu nodded. "When the time comes, we will also go with them. See you then." Han Fei sent them away in a daze and looked back. It seems that there is some kind of competition between the towns. Xia Shaochan didn't care about this, but looked at Han Fei and said, "He Xiaoyu likes you." Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "You know about it again?" Xia Shaochan nodded quickly. "During the meal, she glanced at you 201 times. Han Fei was amused. "You counted that too." Xia Shaochan squinted at Han Fei. "You said it yourself. You can't kiss others or have children with others after you fall in love." Han Fei laughed and was about to grab Xia Shaochan and kiss her hard. Unfortunately, Xia Shaochan flashed and sat on the roof. "I can't let you kiss me all the time. You will stick out your tongue." Han Fei. In the evening, Han Fei didn't cultivate, but slept contentedly. When he got up in the morning and was about to make breakfast, he saw Wanren sitting at the table as soon as he went out. Holding her chin with one hand, she was looking at the sun. Han Fei was stunned. "Ms. Wenren?" "Wenren," you looked back at Han Fei with a smile. "Hey, isn't this student Han Fei? I heard that you've been back for a month." Han Fei immediately looked up at the sky. "Ah, well, Ms. Wenren, I'm going to relax for 2 days, experience this wonderful world, and feel the aura of the way of heaven." Smack! Han Fei was slapped on the head. "I'll show you the wonderful world and the aura of the way of heaven." With that, Wenren suddenly glanced in the direction of the plantation. "Xia Shaochan, where are you going?" "Where can you go?" Xia Shaochan bared her teeth and walked out of the plantation. "Ms. Wenren, you're here." Wenren glared at her. "If I didn't come, would you have gone to heaven?" Xia Shaochan quickly said, "Ms. Wenren, we were about to go back today." Han Fei nodded. Yes, if we hadn't been delayed by something yesterday, we would have gone back yesterday." Wenren looked at him, as if to say, "So now you are living together?" Puff! Han Fei immediately said, "How is that possible? We're just cultivating here for a few days." Xia Shaochan looked confused. "Living together? We've only been living together for a month." Han Fei immediately said to her via voice transmission, "Idiot, living together means sleeping together." "Ah," Xia Shaochan quickly explained, "No, we're not sleeping together." Then Xia Shaochan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Han Fei thought to himself, "I didn't expect you to be so straightforward." Wenren nodded. "Go back to school and go to class." This is the first time I've heard that a teacher came out to look for students. Lu Renquang went back half a month ago. Han Fei was taken aback and asked, "Ms. Wenren, since you know we're back, why are you calling us back now?" "But why are you calling us back now? Is there something wrong?" With that said, Wenren said disdainfully, "Otherwise, Do you think I wanted to come here? There's a battle I need you to fight. The third chapter, asking for votes. The author said, this chapter has just begun. Take your time. Don't panic. End of this chapter. Chapter 553. In the plantation outside the Thug Academy, after nearly a year of nourishment, the vegetation was more flourishing and the plants seemed to have doubled in size. Around the plantation were rows of golden wheat. However, the wheat was as thick and full as corn bundles. Han Fei felt that as long as he cut one, he could make a dumpling. The effect of the spirit gathering formation was reflected, and this was only the effect of the spirit gathering formation set up by Han Fei himself. If it were the effect of the spirit gathering formation on the dragon boat, the spiritual energy here would be so rich that water would drip out. Han Fei asked, "Are Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan here?" Wenren Yu said lightly, "They went to the arena." Xia Xiaochan was surprised. "Haven't they finished yet?" Hearing Xia Xiaochan's words, Wenren Yu's face suddenly turned black. There are only 2 of them, so they can only play a single match, which is more difficult. Han Fei had no interest in fighting in the arena. He asked curiously, "Ms. Wenren, why did we come back to fight? We fought enough in the level 3 fishery." Wenren Yu snorted. "It's simple this time, just a formality. But in the level 3 fishery, you really caused a lot of trouble, and your junior uncle Faceless had to clean up your mess." Han Fei bared his teeth. "Junior uncle Faceless robbed us of 5 billion. Oh no, 7 billion. Wenren Yu paused and exclaimed in disbelief, "How much?" Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan looked at each other. 7 billion. Bam! Han Fei turned into a perfect arc and flew into the school. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, who happened to come back, saw this scene from a distance. Chu Jinan was stunned. "Well, is that senior brother Han Fei?" Ling Yuan swallowed and nodded. "It seems to be. No, it must be him." Bam! Han Fei, who had just flown into the school, turned into a perfect arc and flew out of the school. Seeing Wenren use fishing rod again, Han Fei was furious. "Hey, do you think you are a teacher? Are you playing ping pong?" Han Fei was pulled into the school again. This time he didn't fly out, but Xia Xiaochan ran away as soon as she saw the scene. While running, Xia Xiaochan stuck out her tongue and shouted, "It's none of my business. I'm innocent." Humph! Inside the school, Han Fei was hanging upside down on a tree and said angrily, "Old Bai, that's too much. We're family. If you're so capable, ask Uncle Master Faceless for it. Why are you venting your anger on me?" Old Bai was standing in front of Han Fei, his eyes full of ferocity. "If that be **starred Faceless gave us money, would our school be so poor?" Han Fei was stunned. "Well, no. Isn't Junior Uncle Faceless from the Thug Academy? Isn't it his duty to contribute to the school?" It was unknown when Xiaozhan had appeared. He chuckled and said, "That guy naturally has a use for money. However, giving it all to him is indeed too much. Even if it's Martial Uncle, you haven't seen him before. Can't you be more careful?" Han Fei said angrily, "It's not your fault. He didn't give anything, not even the protective amulet or the immortal seal. Then shouldn't we buy it? Isn't it all money if we buy it?" Han Fei jumped off the tree and asked curiously, "Why does Junior Uncle Faceless need so much money? Why didn't he acknowledge us as soon as possible? If Xiao Bai hadn't guessed it, he wouldn't have told us." Old Bai snorted. "It's none of your business. However, you didn't lose anything. Faceless gave you a lot of benefits." Han Fei was puzzled. "The immortal seal? 1 immortal seal per person. Is it worth so much money?" Old Bai squinted at Han Fei. "Didn't he give you spirit awakening fluid?" Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "He did. A total of 3,315 caddies. I clearly remember that we exchanged for it with money." Xiao Zhan patted Han Fei on the shoulder. You can't exchange for spirit awakening fluid with money. Han Fei. Xia Shaochan emerged from the tree at this moment. Are you done fighting? If not, I'll come out. Lu Rinquang, Zhang Xuanyu, and Luo Xiaobai ran over from the depths of the school. Lu Rinquang said, You're finally back. Han Fei was stunned. Wait, why are you so fast? You're all back? Han Fei heard from Wenrinyu that Old Bai went to pick up Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai. Wasn't it too fast? Luo Xiaobai said lightly, We came back at night. Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, Fei Fei, I heard that you too. Zhang Xuanyu blinked at Han Fei and was kicked away by Han Fei. Get lost. Don't talk nonsense all day. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also ran back with Wenrinyu. Seeing Han Fei, they hurriedly said, Senior brother, senior sister. Han Fei looked back. You're already an advanced, great fishing master? Chu Jinan nodded. Thank you, senior brother Han Fei, for your previous teaching. Han Fei waved his hand. It has nothing to do with me. It's your own hard work. Han Fei waved his hand again. Don't be so polite. Don't be so polite to me, senior brother. Come, I've brought you a gift this time. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan looked at each other. Gifts? With that, Han Fei put his arm around Chu Jinan and said, Let's go. I'll take you to the mountain to have a look. Old Bai said leisurely, Starting from tomorrow morning, all of you will have lessons. Get ready. It's time for lunch. I heard that the yellow-blooded sea cucumber tastes good, Han Fei. After returning to school, everyone immediately relaxed, and the word comfortable filled everyone's heart. Han Fei, Lu Rinquang, Chu Jinan, and Ling Yuan were working in the open-air kitchen. Han Fei didn't experiment and threw dozens of low-quality spiritual weapons to Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. For Han Fei, low-quality spiritual weapons were not valuable, but that was relative. After all, there were many people in the level 3 fishery who still used magic weapons. Han Fei felt that he was much more generous than Old Bai and the others. When he went to the level 3 fishery, he took out a few sea-swallowing seashells and a few low-quality spiritual weapons. At this moment, Han Fei said, Today I came up with a new dish called Big Fish Head with diced peppers. Lu Rinquang immediately put down his work. Innovation. Let me have a look. Xia Shaochan said, I'll eat whatever you make. Whatever. By the way, isn't it a bit unfair for us to participate in the 36-town exchange competition now? Everyone was called back temporarily, obviously to deal with this competition, but even Han Fei didn't understand why they had to participate in this competition. In the past, when they heard Old Bai and the others brag that the Thug Academy had swept the 36 towns and defeated the 1,000-star city, they only thought it was awesome. But now they had defeated the people from the 1,000-star city, robbed the dragon boats, and defeated the hanging fishers. Couldn't they even defeat the students from the same academy? Luo Xiaobai nodded. It shouldn't be as simple as a competition. Of course it's not that simple. Xiao Zhan had walked over at some point, leaned in front of Han Fei, looked at the fish head, and then said, This kind of exchange competition is naturally not difficult for you now. But this competition is the key to leading to the unknown place. Huh. Even Han Fei couldn't help but put down his knife. Leading to the unknown place? Luo Xiaobai asked, Can we go there if we win? Xiao Zhan shook his head. To be precise, 80% of those who participate in the competition can go to the unknown place. Han Fei was speechless. Then why do we have to compete? Since everyone is going there, let's just go there. Xiao Zhan smiled and said, Which one do you want to be? Han Fei didn't even think about it. Of course, I want to be the boss. How nice it is to be treated. Xiao Zhan said, So the strength of the ranking has something to do with what position you will be in after you go there. Do you still think this competition is meaningless? Xia Shaochan asked, Are there different levels of identities in the unknown place? Lu Rinquang nodded. Yes, why doesn't it sound good? Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Teacher, what is this unknown place? Can you reveal it in advance?" Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also pricked up their ears. They hadn't even been to the level 3 fishery yet, let alone the unknown place. However, everyone was curious. They had always heard of the reputation of the unknown place, but they hadn't heard any rumors about it. How annoying was that? Xiao Zhan smiled and said, "What's the hurry? Do you think you can go there just because you want to? The competition won't start until a month later, so we will start classes tomorrow. The process of the competition may be a bit boring, but you can just take it as a tour. After the competition, you need to improve your strength as much as possible. So, there is still about half a year of class time. After that, we will go there together." Xiao Zhan finally revealed the truth to everyone. The real purpose of the competition was to get a better identity. What kind of identity? Why did the heavenly talents of the 36 towns need to compete for it? First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 554. After a year, sleeping in the treehouse again made Han Fei feel extremely comfortable. As the saying went, it was good to sleep for a while. Except for Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei, and the others were all dragged out of the treehouse by Xiao Zhan. Besides, the way Xiao Zhan and the others taught Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan was different from that of Han Fei and the others. At this moment, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were sitting on the grass with them, listening to Xiao Zhan's lecture. Xiao Zhan said, "Do you know why we haven't taught you any standardized lessons since you entered the Thug Academy?" Han Fei muttered, "Because we're lazy." Xiao Zhan said seriously, "Han Fei, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't smile at me." Han Fei. Among the 6 of them, it was too easy to catch a bad student. Han Fei was the one who stood out. Everyone else was sitting, but he was standing. Xiao Zhan continued with satisfaction. "It stands to reason that the meaning of the existence of schools and teachers is to preach, teach, and solve doubts. However, you're not ordinary people. According to this teaching method, sooner or later, you will be led astray. So, we are just guiding you to explore, gain experience, fight, comprehend. Finally, we will help you summarize and integrate." Xiao Zhan rambled for a while before he said leisurely, "For now, your cultivation path is bumpy but also smooth. Before you went to the level 3 fishery, I discussed with Ms. Wunrin and the principal whether we should give you enough shelter. If we gave you shelter, you wouldn't die easily, but you might lose the heart of enterprise and think that I won't die anyway. As you can see, this is why the 7 major sects of the 1,000-star city are being pushed to the bottom of the sea by you." Zhang Xuanyu said, "Teacher, you are too careless. I was caught as soon as I entered the level 3 fishery. If I hadn't been smart, I wouldn't have been able to come back." Xiao Zhan glanced at him coldly. "Zhang Xuanyu, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't interrupt in class, okay?" Zhang Xuanyu. Han Fei couldn't help but cast a comforting look at him. Xiao Zhan sneered, "We don't lack combat skills, and now you don't lack any. However, have you realized that there's something wrong with combat skills?" When it came to the Q&A session, Luo Xiaobai answered first. "There are too many people in the level 3 fishery and too many strange combat skills. But most of them can only catch people off guard at the beginning. But the second time they use it, it's very easy for others to break it." Xia Shaochan also replied, "As long as you are strong enough, it doesn't matter what combat skills you have." Han Fei added, "I found that as long as the level of a combat skill is high enough, it can be very strong." Xiao Zhan flicked his fishing rod and hooked a stone weighing dozens of tons out of nowhere. He smashed it at Han Fei's head. "Carry it and listen to the class." Han Fei was lost for words. "No, master, you are obviously targeting me." Zhang Xuanyu kept his mouth shut and tried not to say a word. He did not want to listen to the lecture while carrying a boulder that weighed over 5,000 kilograms. That would be rather embarrassing. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but move a little away from Han Fei, for fear that Han Fei would throw the stone down and hit them on the head. Xiao Zhan's eyes almost stared at Han Fei's face. Let me tell you, when you were a dangling fisher, you still felt that it didn't matter whether you practiced combat skills or not. However, since you have dealt with people from the Thousand-Star City, you must have found that most of these people only practice targeted combat skills. Many good combat skills will be constantly abandoned in the process of growth until you find a combat skill that suits you. Lu Renquang nodded. Yes, I found that my sky-swallowing technique is not bad. This combat skill suits me. Xiao Zhan kicked at him. Stand up and listen to the class. You are an armorist. Have you mastered the art of armories? Your sky-swallowing technique, if you encounter a nimble hunter like Xia Shaochan, will be pierced by you just by standing there. Now, Han Fei had one more friend. Lu Renquang said weakly. Doesn't it mean that we have practiced so many combat skills in vain? Xiao Zhan shook his head. Of course not. When you are still a dangling fisher, the more combat skills you have, the better. As long as you can master them, you can eat as much as you want until you can't take it anymore. However, the more you practice, the more you have to start simplifying to the point that one technique can break all other techniques. Zhang Xuanyu muttered, Teacher, how can it be so simple? This is the path I am taking. I haven't figured out how to continue to evolve the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan sneered. That's because you have dabbled in too few combat skills. 9 is an extreme number. Why don't you try combining them? Zhang Xuanyu said, I have tried. After combining them, whether it is endurance or power, it is not as good as the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan nodded. Starting tomorrow, you will fight with me. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes lit up. Okay. Han Fei's eyes also lit up. Teacher, what about me? Do you think I can return to 1? I have saber techniques and fist techniques. Do you think I can create a fist saber? Luo Xiaobai and the others couldn't help turning their heads because another boulder flew over. Xiao Zhan was speechless. Why don't you go to heaven? Fist is fist, knife is knife. You are a body cultivator, so you should learn more close combat skills. You just need to comprehend the same type of combat skills to the best. Don't think about these things all day long. Xiao Zhan pointed out. Don't think we don't know what you did in the level 3 fishery. Now I will call your names one by one. After that, report to the principal or teacher when ran one by one. The principal said, First of all, Han Fei, you have the strongest physique, so you should take the path of toughness. But considering that you are also a spirit gatherer, it is reasonable for you to practice knife and sword techniques. But you are too impetuous and haven't refined any of your combat skills. Although you are not weak, you are not the strongest. Now you seem to be very strong, so strong that no one seems to be your opponent. But if you don't change, one day you will pay the price. Okay, reflect on it for an hour and then report to the principal. Han Fei. Then Xiao Zhan commented on them one by one. Lu Renquang, your physique is not weak and you have a lot of combat skills, but your path is narrow. An armorist should be the one who can fight the best among all of us, but you are not. You lack the ability of close combat. Report to me in half a month. In this half a month, go to the library and find 5 armorist close combat skills to learn. Zhang Xuanyu, your attack is too simple. You have integrated all the combat skills of a soul warrior into your self-created combat skills. But it has not reached the effect of 1 + 1 = 2, which shows that your deduction is not firm enough. Also, your soul power is not enough and you lack the means of attack. Come to me tomorrow. Xia Shaochan, your specialty is speed. In terms of speed, you are the fastest here. It stands to reason that your attack is not weak, your reaction is fast, and your stealth effect is good. However, you lack an extremely explosive offensive combat skill. Therefore, When you encounter a real top genius or a physique-refining genius like Han Fei, your attack will be inadequate. Later, report to Ms. Wenrinyu. Luo Xiaobai, your talent lies in calmness and strong judgment. You have an advantage in team battles and can easily control the overall situation. However, when you're fighting alone, you lack effective means of combat. You can only rely on the element of surprise from spirit plants. Once someone is not afraid of this, you will be in great danger. Later, go with Xiao Shaochan to find Ms. Wenrinyu. When Xiao Zhan was commenting, he spoke very fast, which surprised Han Fei. He hadn't seen them for a year, but Xiao Zhan could easily comment on their strengths and weaknesses. Did this old guy secretly go to the level 3 fishery to take a look? Xiao Zhan also added, speaking of this, I'd like to comment on Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. First of all, Ling Yuan is an armorist completely different from Lu Renkuang's. However, Ling Yuan's armoring skills are too complicated and she hasn't found a direction yet. From now on, you will fight with Lu Renkuang for 6 hours every day. You are not allowed to eat for 1 minute less. By the way, Chu Jinan, you're too naive. You're too kind. Absolutely not. You have to learn from Han Fei. When you can be as shameless as him, you can become an apprentice. Puff! Han Fei yelled. Teacher, that's too much, isn't it? I'm not scheming, I'm simple. Don't add more stones, or I won't be able to bear it. Xiao Zhan nodded with satisfaction. Yes, remember, teach your junior brother well. You are more experienced in this aspect. Also, you have to stimulate his fierceness. Chu Jinan was dumbfounded. Is this lesson so original? Second, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 555. The class didn't last long. As Xiao Zhan said, he guided the students and then let them comprehend it by themselves. Before leaving, he told Han Fei, stand for an hour. Lu Renkuang threw the stone at Han Fei and ran to the library, saying that he was going to study the close combat armor art. Xia Shaochan and Luo Xiaobai went to find Wenrinyu. It was estimated that they would have to fight later. Zhang Xuanyu, this be *starred, ran away with Xiao Zhan without waiting for tomorrow, saying that he wanted to discuss the unity combat method. Only Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan didn't make any arrangements. The two of them had just returned from the arena in the morning, so they didn't know whether to leave or stay. Just when the two of them exchanged glances and were about to slip away, Han Fei said leisurely, Chu Jinan. Chu Jinan quickly straightened his body. Yes, senior brother. Han Fei asked, did you win or lose the fight today? Chu Jinan quickly said, I won. Han Fei raised his eyelids. Oh, how many games have you won? Chu Jinan nodded. I won the 68th game. Han Fei looked at Ling Yuan. What about you? Ling Yuan was stunned for a moment and then said, Senior brother Han Fei, I've just won the 68th game, just like him. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Well, do you know where the hexagon starfish is? Ling Yuan said, it is in Mr. Xiao Zhan's bull conch pit. Han Fei was taken aback. No wonder I haven't seen it yet. What is it doing in the bull conch pit? Ling Yuan was a little puzzled. It seems to be making friends with the bull conches. Han Fei was speechless. Why did this guy make friends with food? Han Fei nodded and suddenly said, let me ask you too. Do you know why you have only won 68 games so far? Ling Yuan said, because the opponents often change and we need to deal with all kinds of means carefully. Han Fei shook his head. No, Chu Jinan, tell me. Chu Jinan thought to himself. My answer is similar to Ling Yuan's. However, since senior brother asked this question, he must want me to give a different answer. According to Mr. Xiao Zhan's analysis, senior brother Han Fei was very shameless, so complimenting him should be a good choice. Chu Jinan immediately said, because we are not as good as you. Ugh. Han Fei blushed and thought to himself, why is this kid always telling the truth? Han Fei frowned. No, it's because you're not under enough pressure. Do you know? With pressure, there would be motivation. Only with motivation would one focus on research and exploration, and only then would one become outstanding. Do you think senior brother is right? Chu Jinan thought for a long time and glanced at Ling Yuan. Right. Han Fei said happily, Okay, stand still. I'll give you a little pressure. Catch. As a result, Chu Jinan inexplicably carried a big stone weighing tens of thousands of kilograms on his shoulder, looking dumbfounded. Was this the so-called pressure? Ling Yuan cursed inwardly. He's really shameless and only knows how to fool people. Before Ling Yuan slipped away, Han Fei said seriously, Ling Yuan, do you know Xiang Zuozhua from the First Academy? Ling Yuan nodded awkwardly. I know. Han Fei asked, Do you have the confidence to surpass her? Ling Yuan nodded. Of course. I will definitely surpass her. Han Fei praised. Good, you're ambitious. But that woman is very strong, while your strength is very little now. I'm going to exercise you. Catch. Ling Yuan. In the blink of an eye, Ling Yuan also carried a big stone on her head, weighing tens of thousands of kilograms. Was it heavy? Of course it was. When Han Fei was an advanced, great fishing master, he could only lift 20,000 kilograms. If he tried his best, he could probably lift 30,000 kilograms. If he kept lifting it for an hour, he would definitely have back pain and leg cramps. When Han Fei carried 2 stones on his head, he was very relaxed. Carrying a stone, he said, Well, not bad. It seems that your physique has really caught up. Huh. Why are you sweating? Is it because the stone is too heavy? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes. Don't you know why you're sweating? Han Fei said, Today we're just trying it a little. Come on, run with me. Let's carry the stone back to the mountain. Pooh, as his junior brother and junior sister, what could they say? Just run. But it was very stressful to run. Carry a stone weighing 10,000 kilograms and run. Only someone with a hole in their head would do that. Just now, their teacher caught it after running for only 2 steps. Han Fei suddenly turned around, his face changed, and he said fiercely, You can still run? You have to do your best, understand? Come on, add another stone. In the past, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were too weak, and Han Fei was afraid that he would accidentally injure these 2 little guys. Now, the 2 of them were not weak, and Han Fei felt that carrying 2 stones shouldn't be a big problem. Han Fei said, Remember to carry it every day. Carry it around the school every day. I promise you that in the future, you will be able to beat people as easily as beating stones. Then Han Fei called out the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Follow them. Whoever puts down the stone within an hour, beat him. After a year of growth, Chu Jinan's physique was no weaker than Ling Yuan's, and even a bit stronger. But at this moment, the 2 of them couldn't run anymore and could only move forward step by step on the ground. They were all speechless. There were still more than 20 kilometers to go to the mountain. At this speed, it would take them more than an hour to get there. But Han Fei didn't care. While chewing potato chips, he walked towards Xiao Zhan's hut. In the bull conch pit, there was mud everywhere. There were 6 big, shiny gem-like eyeballs, enjoying the bull conch's massage comfortably. Yes, the bull conch was not small, and because of its habit of rolling, it would always make the mud pit full of potholes. At this moment, there were 6 bull conches grinding on the 6 tentacles of the hexagon starfish. Han Fei was stunned. Master Hexagon, are you massaging me? When the hexagon starfish saw Han Fei, it shivered, shook its tentacles, and threw out a bull conch. A mass of water popped out in front of Han Fei's eyes, and the bull conch was cleaned. It was just the right dish to go with wine that night. The hexagon starfish's big eyes rolled. You're back. Han Fei smiled weirdly. Of course. Do you think I won't come back? The hexagon starfish shrugged. No, I think I live quite well here. If you have something to do, just go ahead. Han Fei smiled. I'm fine. I just came to see you. By the way, I'm going to study arrays later. Just stay here for a while and wait for me to come to you. Han Fei had always felt that the hexagon starfish had extraordinary talent in arrays. It was just that this guy might be lazy, so he didn't like to use them. For example, killing arrays. Did he really not know how to use them? Not necessarily. It was just that the hexagon starfish didn't like fighting. Han Fei had made up his mind to study the spirit-gathering scripture carefully from beginning to end. Of course, he needed the help of this big starfish. 1 hour later, Han Fei found Old Bai. President, I'm here to report. Old Bai tilted his eyes and glanced at Han Fei. Show me your strongest combat skills. Han Fei didn't expect Old Bai to be so direct. Did he want to fight him? President, are we going to start now? Old Bai snorted. Do you expect me to teach you slowly? Hurry up. After I teach you, you can get out of here. Han Fei immediately became serious. This was the first time that Old Bai taught him in person. Xiao Zhan had taught him combat skills before, but Old Bai had never taught him in person. Han Fei frowned and attacked with all his 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers. All of them have their spirits sealed? Spiritual weapons with spirits were even faster. Ordinary peak-level dangling fishers would be killed in the blink of an eye in the face of 100 ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Even Han Fei himself would be killed in an instant if he was attacked by the million-knife art formed by an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Old Bai rolled up his sleeves, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were rolled into Old Bai's sleeves one after another like long dragons. Wow! Han Fei was dumbfounded. Where are my daggers? Old Bai's beard curled up slightly, but he waved his hand and the million-knife art swept towards Han Fei crazily. It was even faster than when it left. Fortunately, the spiritual weapons wouldn't kill their owners, so they all disappeared into Han Fei's body. But in the eyes of outsiders, it seemed that Han Fei had been pierced by thousands of swords and had no room to resist. Old Bai said, You haven't mastered the million-knife art yet. Next one. Then he used the War Soul Bow technique, and Han Fei shot 6 arrows in a row. He didn't prepare to shoot the 7th arrow because his arms might not be able to bear it after shooting it. But Old Bai gathered spiritual energy in the air, turned it into a sword, and blew up the spiritual energy arrow, and then shot 6 arrows back at Han Fei in the same way. Han Fei used all his strength and waved the embroidery needle vigorously, but he failed to block the 2nd arrow, which hit him in the back and blasted him hundreds of meters away. Old Bai exclaimed, This combat skill seems to be derived from the War God Bow, but it's even stronger than the War God Bow and has added soul attacks. Did you comprehend it yourself? Of course. Han Fei's answer was yes. Old Bai nodded slightly. That's not bad. The bow technique is not bad, but the speed of the arrows is too slow. It's not suitable for melee combat, but more suitable for team battles. Next one. The 3rd chapter. Asking for votes. The author says, a transitional chapter. Relaxing and casual. End of this chapter. Chapter 556. When Han Fei used the majestic mystic spell and the draw technique, Old Bai was surprised. Old Bai asked, secret techniques aside, what kind of knife technique is this? Han Fei bragged, this is the ultimate knife attack that I've comprehended. With 1 slash, the knife intent is unleashed, and the knife intent is combined with the knife realm to unleash the spirit, energy, and spirit, as well as an indomitable momentum. BM. Han Fei was slapped away, and Old Bai said, You brag to me every day. What knife intent do you think you're talking about? Have you mastered the real knife intent? You don't even know that knife intent and knife realm are the same thing. How dare you brag to me? There is indeed knife intent in this knife technique, but it's not complete. You've only learned half of it. If you continue to study it, it'll be fine, but you don't seem to care at all. Grabbing Han Fei back, Old Bai said, I heard that you have another punch. Show it to me. Han Fei was a little dizzy. He scratched his head and said, "Mr. President, take it." As the sacrificing punch was brewing, Old Bai's eyes narrowed slightly. He felt a soaring, murderous intent. This punch was definitely comprehended in a life-and-death battle. When Han Fei blasted out the sacrificing punch, the huge energy swept over 100 meters and the power spread over 1,000 meters. Xiao Zhan and Wenren Yu couldn't help but fly into the sky to see what was going on between Han Fei and Old Bai. Boom! Old Bai grabbed the fist mark with one hand and stomped his feet, and a defense array appeared. The sacrificing punch, which should have punched a hole dozens of meters wide in the ground, was locked in the defense array, and the dazzling brilliance lasted for 10 minutes. Han Fei was dumbfounded. "President, what array is this?" Old Bai smiled grimly. "Why? Do you want to learn it? This has nothing to do with arrays, but strength. You are too weak. Useless." Han Fei had used all his unique skills. The art of invincibility was not perfect yet, and that thing was comprehended by comprehension. Even if he showed it, he couldn't ask Old Bai to help him comprehend it. So Han Fei didn't use it. Old Bai said leisurely, "This punch is not bad. However, the person who taught you must have been quite a domineering person. Other people use this fist as a life-saving technique, but if you used it in battle, you would be lacking in terms of momentum and willpower. Don't look down on these minor flaws. They've reduced the power of this fist by at least 30%. So many." Old Bai sneered. "What do you think? Also, I don't know if it's just my imagination. The speed at which you unleash this punch seems to be a bit slow, as if you can't explode it in one go. This punch is 20% less powerful than the original one." Han Fei was shocked. "Isn't it 50% weaker?" Old Bai said with a faint smile, "Yes. In that case, it seems that it wasn't that person who taught you on the spot. Instead, it was an opportunity that you obtained by chance." Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Are the eyes of the strong so sharp? How could he even see this? In fact, as Old Bai said, it was because he saw that fist mark that he learned it. As for why his explosive speed was a little slow, it must be because of the fundamental difference between him and Ren Tianfen. Ren Tianfen had no meridians in his body, but he had meridians in his body. Although energy was not only conducted through the meridians, it would inevitably be blocked by the meridians. But in this regard, if his meridians were always intact, the sacrificing punch he performed would never reach a perfect level. In the distance, Wenren Yu and Xiao Zhan looked at each other. Wenren Yu asked, "What combat skill is this?" Xiao Zhan nodded. "I can't tell. It seems that no one has used it before. It's not a low-level combat skill." Old Bai glanced at the two of them, and then the two of them fell into the forest and continued to teach Lu Rinquang and Xia Shaochan. Han Fei couldn't help asking, "President, do you think there is any way to improve it?" Old Bai pondered for a moment. "The War Soul Bao technique seems to consume a lot of spiritual energy, but it works well in team combat. It may come in handy in the unknown place that we're about to go to. The million knife art lacks a bit of knife intent. If you can integrate even a little bit of knife intent into it, its power will be incomparable." Han Fei's eyes flashed. He didn't think about it, mainly because there are too many knives in the million knife art. It's not a simple thing to integrate knife intent. But since Old Bai said so, I can give it a try. Old Bai suddenly asked, "Han Fei, do you have any insights in deducing techniques?" Being asked by Old Bai, Han Fei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Did Old Bai see through it? Han Fei chuckled. "Yes, it seems that a little bit. When I was cultivating, I always felt a little uncomfortable, so I would modify it a little by myself." Old Bai was stunned. "You just modified it casually and it was suitable for you?" Han Fei nodded. "Of course. President, I'm not bragging, but I have a sixth sense. I actually have a sixth sense. My sixth sense." Bam! Han Fei was slapped away. Old Bai didn't listen to him at all. He said, helplessly, I'll give you a day to see if you can figure out something different. Come to me at this time tomorrow. Han Fei was thrown to the entrance of the cave by Old Bai. He was a little speechless. Old Bai didn't even give him a tree house to sleep in. Han Fei simply sat in the cave. He hadn't noticed before, but it seemed that none of his combat skills were actually perfect. It was just that because the level of his combat skills was too high or his combat power was too strong, it gave others an illusion that he had cultivated all his combat skills to the extreme. Han Fei was trying to deduce the million knife art. Among all the commonly used combat skills at present, only the million knife art was still demon level high quality. His original consideration was that the main reason why the million knife art was demon level high quality was that the weapon was rare. Moreover, it had extremely high requirements for spiritual power. Putting aside this factor, the million knife art itself was definitely not as simple as demon level high quality. If he continued to deduce it, the requirements for the million knife art would probably be even higher. Han Fei felt that he might not be able to meet its requirements. Forget it, let's wait a little longer. At this time, Han Fei didn't think about whether to deduce the million knife art or not. His eyes fell on the knife intent and the knife realm. What was knife intent? Old Bai said that knife intent and knife realm were the same thing. Were they really the same thing? The intent was the realm, and the realm was the realm. It seemed that they were really the same thing. However, it was said in the Saber scripture that the way of the knife was the way of man. In fact, everything was the same. Not only the knife, but also the people who used the sword. The way of the sword was the way of man. Different people walked different paths, so the concepts they summed up were different. This was also what the Saber scripture said. 100 people used 100 knives, but the knife intent was very different. If one could really comprehend his own exclusive realm, it would not be a realm, but a way commonly known as the way of the knife. Han Fei felt a headache coming on. What could he possibly learn in one day? After sitting for an hour, Han Fei still couldn't figure it out. Thus, he slipped out of the cave and ran into the library. Lu Renkuang was flipping through books. He had read more than 5 armor art books. He turned over a pile of books. Han Fei was speechless. Kuang, can you finish reading them? Lu Renkuang shrugged. No, I can. Find a few of the best ones, and then read the rest for reference. Read them all. They all have something in common anyway. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Then, wait a minute. I'll read them with you. After a while, Han Fei also found nearly 20 books on knife techniques and sat next to Lu Renkuang to read. Lu Renkuang looked dumbfounded. Why are you reading so many knives? I also have a knife here. Can I lend it to you? Go away. I'm reading. It only took Han Fei an hour to flip through all the books. He found that everyone had a different concept of using knives. Some people thought that knives were killing skills. They should be sharp and full of killing intent. Some people said that knives were dominating weapons and there was no regret in using knives. In the way of knives, victory or defeat was only determined by life and death. Some people said that knives were just weapons and it depended on what state the user was in. Different states were different knives, which could be domineering, sharp, or gentle. Ba gentle? I use knives to fight. If I'm gentle, how can I fight? Until Han Fei turned to a combat skill book, which was written by a girl who used a knife. She said that the knife of emotion was the best for killing. Domineering was unparalleled. Gloomy was sad and extreme joy was fearless. It was changeable because of emotions. This is interesting. Chapter 557. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan finally walked 20 kilometers with 4 big stones on their backs. At this moment, the 2 of them were hiding on the top of the mountain and whispering. Ling Yuan said with certainty, I have a feeling that Senior Brother Han Fei and the others will have a miserable life in the future. Chu Jinan wondered, why? I saw Senior Brother Han Fei carrying 4 stones very easily just now, and he seemed to have a fight with the principal just now. However, he must have been beaten badly. Ling Yuan sneered. Are you stupid? They are all going to the unknown place. Don't you know what kind of place it is? It was said that not many of those who went there could return. It's good to be beaten badly. Chu Ji Nen still didn't believe it, but senior brother and senior sister are very powerful. Although the teacher didn't tell us, I'm afraid they have made a lot of noise in the level 3 fishery. Ling Yuan said, Put your ear closer. Chu Ji Nen obediently put his ear closer. Huh. Chu Ji Nen looked at Ling Yuan in astonishment. Really? Ling Yuan scoffed. Why would I lie to you? So, senior brother must have a lot of enemies. If they go to the unknown place like this, the teacher and the principal will definitely be very worried. Then during this period of time, they will definitely train them to death, just like how they trained us to death back then. What are you two whispering about? While the two were muttering, they saw Han Fei chewing small dried fish on a big stone tens of meters above them, looking at them. Both of them were shocked. Why didn't they notice Han Fei when he was already behind them? Chu Ji Nan hurriedly said, Senior brother, we have moved the stones back. Ling Yuan said cautiously, Senior brother, you didn't hear anything just now, did you? Han Fei smiled weirdly. I heard everything. Ah. Ling Yuan and Chu Ji Nen looked at each other and didn't speak. Han Fei didn't explain anything, and his expression suddenly became serious. Chu Ji Nen, as a manipulator, you don't have any vigilance at all. I'm already next to you, but you don't have any reaction at all. Yes, senior brother, you're right. Han Fei pretended to be teachable and said to Ling Yuan, And you, Ling Yuan, don't listen to those irrelevant rumors outside. Yes, senior brother. Han Fei jumped down from the rock, broke a twig, and said, Yes. Senior brother, I see that you guys are always slacking off. This can't go on. Well, I'll suppress my strength to that of an advanced, great fishing master and spar with you. Ling Yuan craned her head. Are we going to use contractual spiritual beasts? She wanted to say that she wouldn't fight with her contractual spiritual beasts. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp was too fierce to fight at all. Han Fei shook his head. I don't need it. I'll fight you with this twig. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but be tempted, although they were safe and sound in school. In fact, when they went to the Blue Sea Arena, they were famous for being fierce. Just like when Han Fei and the others went to the Blue Sea Arena, many people almost called him Daddy. If one wanted to become a powerhouse, one naturally had to have a fearless heart. Therefore, both Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan readily agreed when they heard that Han Fei didn't need a contractual spiritual beast. After all, they were all advanced, great fishing masters. It was hard to say who was stronger and who was weaker. However, Ling Yuan still asked, Senior brother, although your realm is suppressed to that of an advanced, great fishing master, your physique is still at the level of a dangling fisher. How can we win? Han Fei smiled. Win? What do you mean? Let's fight for an hour first. Ling Yuan. Chu Jinan. Han Fei suddenly looked up at the sky with a melancholy look on his face. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were still puzzled when they saw the twig in Han Fei's hand was suddenly filled with spiritual energy, as if it had become a sharp, long knife. Ling Yuan shouted, Nan, do it! Chu Jinan's reaction was very fast. The sea god grass suddenly burst out, covering all the rocks within dozens of meters, and countless seaweeds tried to entangle Han Fei's body. Swish! Han Fei waved his hand casually, and the sea god grass on the ground was cut open more than 3 meters long, and a branch was cut by him with a cold knife light. Copy. A mass of sea god grass quickly turned into a human shape and seemed to become Han Fei's appearance. Huh, what a weird combat skill. However, Han Fei didn't have an opponent, so he held the branch in his hand and stared at the grass doll. The latter actually used the exact same move as him. Unfortunately, Han Fei couldn't simulate what he had fused into his knife. So with only 3 slashes, the grass doll was split into 3 pieces by Han Fei. At this moment, in Ling Yuan's armor box, 7 swords hung in the sky, rushing at Han Fei from all directions. Han Fei put one hand behind his back and held the branch in the other, waving it and looking very melancholy. However, none of the 7 swords could fall on Han Fei, but Han Fei frowned. Something's wrong. Why can't I transmit my emotions? Why can't I transmit them? Han Fei suddenly grinned and shouted, "Hey, junior brothers and junior sisters, attack with all your strength, or I won't show mercy to you." Clank, clank, clank. Ling Yuan made 2 more slashes, and the hilts of the swords connected, spinning like a wheel, rushing straight at Han Fei. This was the most typical combat skill armorist. Han Fei pointed the long knife in his hand, and a kind of indomitable knife intent filled the branch. Bam! The 2 swords flew horizontally. Ling Yuan was very shocked. It was just a simple stab. Why was it so powerful? 7 swords in one. Swish, swish, swish! The amazing sword momentum stabbed at Han Fei, and the speed was so fast that sword light suddenly appeared. There seemed to be a special charm in it, which seemed to coincide with the understanding of sword intent. Han Fei screamed, "Good, watch me draw my knife." The next moment, the 7 swords were blown away, and Ling Yuan was shaken dozens of meters away, her eyes full of disbelief. 1 hour later, Ling Yuan lay on the ground. "Stop, senior brother, stop." Chu Jinan sat on the ground. "Senior brother, why is your branch so powerful? I feel it's stronger than magic weapons." Han Fei didn't seem to hear what they said, but looked at the branch in his hand, murmuring, No, emotions don't work. I naturally integrated my momentum, domineering, indomitable, fierce, with absolute confidence. This is what they haven't comprehended yet. How can they be my opponents?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head, pointed his fingers, and 2 pillars of spiritual energy poured into the bodies of the 2. Han Fei said, "Come on, I'll fight you with the strength of an intermediate great fishing master." At dinner, Luo Renkuang was preparing dinner, and Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan were helping him. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan ran to the kitchen like crazy, and Chu Jinan shouted, "Senior brother, it's time to eat. Can we eat first?" Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, let's take a break. Don't use the same moves again and again." Han Fei chased after the 2 of them. "Don't go. I'll fight you with the strength of a junior great fishing master." "It's really too junior." Xia Shaochan wondered, what's wrong with them? When did they get along so well? "I don't understand." It seems that Han Fei asked Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan to carry stones. Lu Renkuang asked, "Isn't Han Fei reading books with me in the library in the afternoon?" The next day, when Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he was slapped away by Old Bai. Old Bai said, "No, it's too complicated. I asked you to comprehend knife intent, not to add everything to it. You have to understand what is most suitable for you and what it feels like when you fight with others." As a result, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were even more unlucky. The 2 of them were whipped by Han Fei with a branch for a day. On the 3rd day, when Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he grinned. "When I fight with others, I only have one word for it, cool." Then Han Fei flew away again. Old Bai said, "Cool my A*S. Take it seriously. What kind of road do you want to cut with the knife in your hand?" So Han Fei caught Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan in the rubble. From time to time, a strange knife light swept all the way, cutting a road, and all the obstacles along the way were blown away. Chu Jinan said with a sad face, "Senior brother, I am a manipulator. If I am not a soul warrior, can you find senior brother you to fight with you?" Han Fei said, "Cut the crap. I found that you don't have many fighting skills. Let me teach you." Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, I've checked. You have already comprehended knife intent. Although you have reduced your strength, you are still fighting with us. Don't be like this." Han Fei said, "Shut up. The level 3 fishery is full of monsters. You can't even resist this little knife intent. Why do you want to go to the level 3 fishery? Come on, I won't bully you as long as you can take this knife. Oh no, as long as you can take a branch from me. Ling Yuan, second. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 558. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were not free until half a month later. In the past half a month, they didn't even fight in the arena, but were beaten by Han Fei from morning to night in the school. It was useless to cry or ask for help. No one cared about them at all. Today, the 5 of them were taken out of the school by Old Bai, and Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were finally liberated. When the 2 of them were having breakfast, they almost cried with joy. A fight was only called a fight if the opponent was evenly matched. If the strength was seriously unbalanced, it was called abuse. They felt that they had been abused for half a month. That kind of mental torture. Even Chu Jinan, who was usually very obedient, was about to collapse. Chu Jinan even said that he would beat Han Fei to the ground in the future. Not to mention whether Chu Jinan's words could be realized. In the past half a month, this kid's courage had been abruptly tempered by Han Fei. That was something that couldn't be helped. If they rushed up to fight, they would still be beaten. If they acted like a coward, they would still be beaten. Anyway, he would be beaten anyway. So Chu Jinan finally went all out. However, the result of risking everything was that he was still beaten, which made him very sad. After breakfast, Chu Jinan said to Ling Yuan, "I want to go to the arena." Ling Yuan nodded seriously. "I want to go too. I feel like I've been holding it in for half a month." Chu Jinan nodded in agreement. "Me too." This was the martial arts field in the center of the Blue Sea town. The building was tall and the field was spacious. Rows of thick stone pillars were dozens of meters high, but the ground was not so good. There were potholes everywhere, as if it had been through a long battle. As a town's martial arts field, its purpose was not for ordinary people to come here to practice, but for large-scale activities. It mainly included the selection of some social talents, the assessment of the managers of the floating island, multi-school joint competitions, etc. This time, the 4 academies were all here. The presidents of the other 3 academies had brought teams of nearly dozens of people. These people were mainly the group of people who had been training in the Blazing Mountain. Everyone was familiar with each other, or at least familiar with each other. Did they add some people? Zhang Xuanyu said. Some of them seem a little old. Wenrinyu. During this year, there are only about 200 people left to participate in the Flaming Mountain Trial. Naturally, some of the top students in the school will be promoted to participate. But the minimum requirement is the Dangling Fisher realm, so some senior students naturally came in. There are no grades in our school. Wenrinyu was speechless. There are 7 of you in total. What grade are you divided into? At this moment, many people were looking at them. Especially Han Fei. He attracted many people's attention. Han Fei made such a big noise in the level 3 fishery that they had to know about it. Most of the people who came here today were dangling fishers, and only a few great fishing masters were among them. These great fishing masters didn't come here to go to the unknown place. They were just called here by their teachers to see the world. He Xiaoyu, Xiao Wushuang, and the others were among them. At this moment, they were standing at the edge, so they did not have a chance to appear. Han Fei felt a scorching gaze in the crowd, which seemed to want to kill him. No one knew how miserable Li Hani's life was in the level 3 fishery. Xiang Zuozua and the others spent most of their time on dragon boats or searching for secret realms. Li Hani was different. He was quite talented and had been to many dangerous places. But obviously, luck really varied from person to person. For several times, Li Hani felt that he was about to be killed, but suddenly a chance appeared. For example, after Han Fei came out of the steps into the sea that day and was exposed, everyone chased him. Then they forgot that he was on the steps into the sea, which allowed him to narrowly escape. But he hated Han Fei bitterly. If it weren't for this be****starred, He might have obtained a greater opportunity now. Xia Shaochan poked Han Fei with her finger and whispered, I think we should have killed him at that time. Han Fei grinned. It's okay. He has been ruthlessly crushed by us. The 5 people, including the presidents of the 3 academies, Old Bai and the mayor, were standing in the center at the moment talking. Wu Junwei asked, Didn't your thug academy advance? Why did you come here? Old Bai said proudly, Our school doesn't want to bluff our way through. Su Tianji asked, By Kongi, do you think this is interesting? Are you asking Han Fei and the others to participate in the competition on the island? Old Bai said with bright eyes, Didn't I restrict their strength? They are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, spiritual weapons, or secret techniques. What else do you want? Chu Mingxue asked, Are you serious? Wu Junwei snorted. By Kongi, you and I both know that they don't have to participate. If your Thug Academy wants to make a name for itself again, wait until the 36th town exchange competition. What do you mean by taking action now? Old Bai sneered. My Thug Academy hasn't even regained its foothold in the Blue Sea town. I don't have a good reason to take action. The 4 presidents were in a stalemate, and finally the mayor said, Let's make a compromise and each take a step back. The 3 academies will exchange according to the original plan, and the Thug Academy will stay in the top 5. Old Bai was immediately unhappy. That won't work. If we don't fight, how can we determine the ranking? The mayor smiled. Old Bai, let me finish. Although the Thug Academy won't participate, the 3 academies can challenge them. As long as they win against any one of them, they can be in the top 5. Chu Mingxue added, Spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts are not allowed, and spiritual weapons and secret techniques are not allowed either. Old Bai said contemptuously, No problem, but at least 2 people from each of your academies will challenge them. Otherwise, our Thug Academy won't stand there. Wu Junwei and Su Tianji looked at each other and acquiesced. In fact, they also wanted to see how much Han Fei and the others had grown. The rumors in the level 3 fishery were too exaggerated. How could these 5 kids kill the hanging fishers guarding the dragon boat? After a moment, Old Bai came back and sighed. I've tried my best, but these people are as timid as mice and won't let us participate in the competition. Lu Renquang chuckled. It's great that we can enter the top 5 without fighting. Old Bai snorted. Bullsh *T. It's great to win. Han Fei asked, Hasn't the secret realm of the fiery mountain been ranked? Old Bai said, That's different. After the competition starts here, there will be spectators. There will be spectators? Everyone looked at each other. So, Old Bai, you just want to show off your strength, don't you? Old Bai said reluctantly, Forget it. When they compete, let's sit in the nearest place and wait for them to challenge us. Everyone. Han Fei said, President, I think I can go back and comprehend the knife intent. Zhang Xuanyu also nodded. President, it's not good for us to sit and watch them fight, right? Luo Xiaobai asked, Well, President, can I go back to cultivate? Old Bai glanced back at them. Who dares to leave? You will represent the Blue Sea town in the competition. Who dares to leave? Everyone. About half an hour later, many residents of the Blue Sea town poured into the martial arts field one after another. Everyone was attracted by the qualifiers of the 36th town competition. When the entire martial arts field was full of people, the competition officially began. The rules of the competition were decided by drawing lots, but it had nothing to do with Han Fei and the others. Old Bai and Wenrin Yu sat at the judges' table. The 5 of them were forced by Old Bai to move a stone and sit right below the judges' table in the martial arts arena. As long as they stretched out their feet, they could stand on the field. Many people were speechless. Those guys are from the Thug Academy, right? Why are they sitting on the field? Someone wondered. I haven't heard any news about the Thug legend for a long time. It is said that they went to the level 3 fishery. What are they doing? Someone shouted, "Hey!" Han Fei and the others. What are you doing in the martial arts field? Someone laughed and said, they can't be treating this as a team competition, right? However, the mayor suddenly coughed. Well, everyone, please be quiet. Before the competition, after the comprehensive evaluation of the 4 academies and me, Han Fei, Xia Shaochan, Luo Xiaobai, Lurenquang, and Zhang Xuanyu from the Thug Academy are directly ranked as the top 5 of this competition and will represent the Blue Sea Town. At the same time, before the mayor finished speaking, there was an uproar in the field. Why? No, the competition hasn't even started. How can they be ranked in the top 5? Half of the top 10 have been occupied. What's the point of the competition? They haven't even fought. We don't recognize them as the top 5. Yes, we don't recognize them. There were clamors all over the field, insisting that Han Fei and the others participate in the competition. They heard the mayor shout, "Silence! All of you, listen to me. All students from the 3 academies can challenge any of the top 5 students at any time, and the winner will be directly ranked in the top 5. The number of challenges is unlimited. Also, according to our comprehensive evaluation, Han Fei and the others are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, secret methods, spiritual weapons, etc. In the face of challenges, these 5 people must accept the challenge and cannot shirk it. The author said, let me explain first. Don't read the bright list alone. It's not the top 10 on the day before the event. The top 10 on a single day is useless. I mean the top 10 after the event, which will be listed after the end of the 27th. Also, don't rush me to update. I've been out for a few days. If I write too fast, it will affect the plot. Besides, is the 3rd chapter slow? It's all tears. My hands are broken. I'm crying. End of this chapter. Chapter 559. The audience was stunned. What the hell is this? The people of the 3 academies can challenge the 5 of them at any time and also restrict them from using their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts? Someone said in surprise, wait, how strong are these people from the Thug legend? Why do they have such outrageous rules? Someone wondered, are they so strong that they are invincible among the young generation in the Blue Sea Town? Someone said with certainty, there must be something wrong. Maybe they are really strong. There were also a few people who came back from the Level 3 fishery with bitter smiles. If you knew the achievements of these people in the Level 3 fishery, you would be scared to death. Someone sighed secretly. How could the top 5 of the wanted list in the Level 3 fishery be comparable to them? However, some people also suspected that if they couldn't even use their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts, then the gap between them would be huge. For example, one was an intermediate dangling fisher, and the other was close to an advanced or even a peak-level dangling fisher. While the other couldn't use anything, the gap in strength would be immediately widened. There was a lot of noise in the martial arts field, but as the game began, the noise gradually faded away. At least for the time being, no one had chosen to challenge the people from the Thug Academy. 2 hours later, Han Fei and the others were so bored that they almost fell asleep. Han Fei and Lurenquang were next to each other, chewing snacks such as dried fish and potato chips from time to time. Crack, crack, Luo Xiaobai said with a black face. You too, pay attention to your image. Han Fei said, don't worry about our image. We have been regarded as iron-head fish. What image do we have? Xia Shaochan held a dagger in one hand and spun it in circles. She was so fast that only the hilt could be seen, but the blade could not be seen. Zhang Xuanyu even sat cross-legged on a stone, holding several books in his hands and studying them. Recently, he seemed to have learned a lot of new things from Xiaozhan, so he had merged the 9-layered waves in the Furious Sea into one, but he still needed to find a way to advance. On the martial arts field, the battle didn't last very long, especially when the opponent was an armorist. Then the fight would be very slow. At this moment, Lihani had defeated many people along the way. In the level 3 fishery, he might not be qualified. But in the Blue Sea Town, he was still the shining star. Especially now that this guy had learned many offensive combat skills, not just defense, so when he fought he would appear to be even more ferocious. At this time, Li Hani had killed the 9th opponent. Suddenly, Li Han shouted, "Han Fei, I want to challenge you." Buzz. Everyone in the martial arts practice field was shocked. Someone shouted, "Good. Good job. Those 5 little bastards have been sitting there and eating dried fish for 4 hours. I'm so hungry. Whoa. Finally, someone is going to challenge them. I can't wait. Don't be afraid. They won't let us use our spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Don't be afraid. Let's kill them." There was a reason why Li Hani challenged Han Fei. Of course, he knew that Han Fei was strong, very strong. When Han Fei pretended to be Fan Datong, he was only an intermediate dangling fisher. He didn't need a contractual spiritual beast or a spiritual beast, but he used a secret method. This time, neither secret methods nor spiritual weapons were allowed to be used. Han Fei only had the strength of an advanced dangling fisher, so he thought it was worth a try. With a swish, Han Fei stood up from the stone. He had almost fallen asleep. Seeing that Li Hani actually challenged him, he immediately beamed with joy. Finally, he could fight. Li Hani didn't know that Han Fei was more keen on fighting recently. If he knew very well about the Thug Academy and knew that Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan had been beaten crazy by Han Fei with twigs in the past half-month, he might not have challenged Han Fei. Han Fei leaped forward and jumped into the martial arts practice field. He took out a twig, casually. "Hey, let me tell you, I've tolerated you for a long time. You are too narrow-minded and narrow-minded. How can you achieve great things?" Li Hani. The audience. Li Hani said angrily, "Han Fei, don't slander me. You shameless bastard. I'll have to teach you a lesson today." With that, a high-quality battle suit appeared on Li Hani's body. Immediately afterward, he pressed the armor box on the ground, and a high-quality spiritual weapon appeared in front of Li Hani. 2 high-quality spiritual weapons were all Li Hani had gained in the level 3 fishery. Originally, he had more, but because he was impersonated by Han Fei, he didn't know how many times he had been robbed. In the end, he was so poor that he could only go back to the Blue Sea Town by fishing. In the martial arts practice field, Li Hani's preparation was far more than that. A big conch phantom appeared, and his spiritual beast, the mountain-carrying conch, directly fused with it. Besides, he also found a shell that Han Fei had never seen before as his contractual spiritual beast. This shell had a sharp metal aura. It seemed to be a type of shell with an offensive nature. Han Fei shook the twig in his hand and injected spiritual energy into it. Immediately, knife light overflowed from the twig. In the judges' seats, Chu Mingxiwei glanced at Old Bai. "Knife intent?" Wu Jun frowned slightly and said, "Li Hani's strongest defense. Even if he found an offensive contractual spiritual beast, it is still offensive and defensive. If Han Fei wants to defeat him with a twig in the same realm, unless he has comprehended the real knife intent." Su Tianji coughed. "Old Bai, isn't this a bit too much?" Old Bai sneered. "What do you know about knife intent? This kind of artistic conception is different for everyone. Who told you that Han Fei has comprehended knife intent?" Chu Mingxiu said, "Impossible. If he hasn't comprehended it, how can he win?" Outside the martial arts practice field, many people couldn't help rubbing their heads. Someone was stunned. "Isn't this a bit unfair? Li Hani is armed to the teeth. What is Han Fei holding in his hand? A twig?" Someone frowned. "How can he win with a twig? No matter how strong Han Fei is, he can't break the mountain-carrying conch with a twig, can he?" While people were still talking, Li Hani had already started to attack. A small spiritual energy arrow shot through the air at Han Fei, and it was not weak at all. It was the power of an advanced dangling fisher. Li Hani asked, "Han Fei, How can you win if you don't use anything? Han Fei held the twig in his hand, and at the moment the spiritual energy arrow fell, he threw it casually. Wherever the dazzling saber light swept past, the small spirit light arrow would instantly shatter into pieces. Li Hani hurriedly threw out dozens of spiritual energy arrows, but they couldn't catch Han Fei's casual throw. Mountain carrying armor shield. The ground protruded, and a stone steel shield emerged from the ground, and at the same time, pieces of crystal armor wrapped Li Hani. The sword in his hand, surrounded by the broken stones on the ground, grew bigger and bigger, and finally became a real 10-meter-long sword. Boom! Kacha! The stone wall shattered with a crash, and Han Fei's knife still had a trace of power left, but it fell on the crystal armor shield and couldn't move forward anymore. At this moment, the giant sword had already stabbed straight at Han Fei. The audience was stunned. Many people wondered if the thing in Han Fei's hand was a F***king branch. How could a branch cut out such a domineering knife light? At this moment, when the giant sword took shape, its power was even vaguely comparable to Lu Rinquan's bloodthirsty broadsword, and its power had surpassed the full blow of an ordinary peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei didn't doubt the power of this sword. It seemed that Li Hani was indeed enchanted. The price of this sword was not small. If the blow failed, Li Hani was likely to suffer a backlash. But what did it have to do with him, whether Li Hani was injured or not? Han Fei pulled out a few branches, casually as if he were juggling, and the audience didn't even feel that Han Fei had exerted any force. However, such an ordinary attack was bombarded by the giant sword domineeringly. Crack, crack, crack. The stone giant sword was breaking inch by inch, and it couldn't even move forward a bit, which made Li Hani full of horror. Li Hani was stunned. Impossible. You are also an advanced dangling fisher. How could it be possible? In the judges' seats, except for old Bai, even the mayor was a little dumbfounded. Suddenly the mayor said, "Did he?" Old Bai grinned and said, "Ha ha. This kid claims that he wants to comprehend knife intent, but he doesn't even know what knife intent is. He was fooling around and accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent. He's really stupid and can't be taught." Everyone. At that time, the faces of the 3 presidents were all black. They just wanted to punch old Bai in the face. What did he mean by comprehending knife intent? He accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent? What was the art of invincibility? They had only heard a little about it, but none of them had seen it. You tell me this kid has comprehended the art of invincibility? The mayor's face darkened. I'm already a hidden fisher, but I haven't seen the art of invincibility, but a student has comprehended it. Are you mocking us? Crack! With the sound of the shield armor breaking, Li Hani had fallen to the ground with his head up. Han Fei frowned and shook the small branch in his hand again. No. Why is the knife intent getting less and less in the end? No, I have to go back and try it with Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. Chapter 560. There was dead silence inside and outside the martial arts field. Many people's eyes almost popped out and their faces were full of disbelief. Someone asked, "Brother, have we been fooled? Why do I feel that Han Fei's knife light is still at the level of an advanced dangling fisher?" The person who was asked said in a daze, "Brother, you're right. My judgment is the same as yours. The knife light itself doesn't seem to have become stronger." Someone said in disbelief, "This is a paradox. How can he break Li Hani's mountain carrying conch without any improvement in combat power?" Too many people outside the field were shocked, including Li Hani himself, who was also full of disbelief. When Li Hani was dragged to the rest area, Xiang Zuozua and the others had already surrounded him. Did Han Fei cheat? Lin Xingmu cast a healing technique on Li Hani while frowning. "I don't think he cheated. The knife light seems to be more than knife light. There seems to be something weird in it." Xiang Zuozua nodded. "That's true. I have a feeling that I'm also a little tempted after seeing him attack. Zhongyu added, "Not just you, I also have this feeling." Xiang Zuozhua asked, "Then should I also challenge him? I think it will be inspiring for me." Everyone was stunned. Should we? It seems that we can't resist Han Fei's casual attacks, just now. He Xiaoyu and the others who had been watching from the sidelines were also dumbfounded. Xia Wushuang gasped. "Last time when we were in the deep-sea jungle, Han Fei seemed to use his fists, right? I felt that punch almost suffocated me. It was terrifying to the extreme. How could he use the branches like this today?" Wang Baiyu added, "I always feel that something is wrong. It's too stable. Did you notice that when Han Fei swept his knife, the spiritual energy didn't dissipate at all? Does this make sense?" Xiang then scratched his head. "It doesn't make sense. Even our teacher can't make such a knife light." He Xiaoyu said contemptuously, "Your teacher is much weaker than Han Fei now." This was the truth. The teachers of the 3 academies were not necessarily strong, and they didn't have to be strong to teach. So far, there were still a large number of great fishing master teachers teaching freshmen. Even among the senior teachers, only a few had reached the realm of advanced dangling fishers, and few of them were peak-level dangling fishers. Think about it, if one really became a peak-level dangling fisher, who would want to be a teacher? They were all pursuing the path of cultivation. No matter what, it's better than being a teacher, right? Then, a strange phenomenon occurred in the battle. The ranking competition is actually very easy. Everybody is here to make a show and show the people of the Blue Sea Town how excellent the students of our school are. Old Bai also saw this point, so he ordered them to come over to play the game. Now, as soon as Han Fei showed up, all his bragging was gone. All the praises were focused on Han Fei. Therefore, Xiang Zuozhua was the second one to challenge Han Fei. Unfortunately, she was defeated after only 3 strikes. After returning to the resting area, the first thing Xiang Zuozhua said was, "There's momentum. There's a mysterious momentum in his saber gleam, but I have no idea how he blended it in." Kong Yunfei challenged Han Fei, but he still only blocked 3 strikes and was defeated again. Kong Yunfei was surrounded by people and only said 1 sentence. "Domineering, his saber is too domineering." After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. How could the stable saber gleam be related to domineering? Then, except for Han Fei and his team, almost all the top 10 people challenged Han Fei. Some people really felt it. For example, Qin Wuyin. He said, "In Han Fei's saber gleam, there is a sharpness other than the Gang metal saber chi, which is very mysterious." Some people didn't feel it, but they had to say something after the battle, right? So the person bragged, "I see there is a strong killing intent in his saber." So this person was beaten up by the crowd. Not to mention they couldn't understand it. Even Zhang Xuanyu and the others didn't understand it, including the presidents at the judges' table. Maybe they had a deeper understanding of it. However, this kind of thing was too mysterious, and even the user would only have that feeling when using it. If you asked him to say it, he wouldn't be able to describe it. This was impossible. Under the attention of the crowd, Old Bai proudly led Han Fei and the others back to school. Before leaving, everyone looked at Han Fei, their eyes full of wonder and curiosity. However, Old Bai pretended to be profound and didn't point out, letting others get excited. So along the way, President Bai, can the Thug Academy lower the enrollment standards a little next year? President Bai, I have money, and my son Zhang Teng has the aptitude of a hidden fisher. Can he go to the Thug Academy? President Bai, does your school accept auditing students? I am willing to pay 100,000 mid-quality pearls. President Bai, Elder Bai ignored these people and walked out of the martial arts practice field with his head held high. After going out, Zhang Xuanyu said helplessly, "President, so you just came here to show off, right?" Lu Rinquang nodded repeatedly. "It must be. The point is, why didn't those people choose us?" Old Bai said meaningfully, It's mainly because they were attracted by Han Fei's saber gleam. Han Fei, can you understand what kind of saber gleam you created? Han Fei was taken aback. He kind of understood, but he didn't seem to understand. So Han Fei forced himself to brag. The main thing is that I found a very important problem. We just burst out things like spiritual energy, but spiritual energy is spiritual energy after all. But spiritual qi was spiritual qi after all. Although it was ever-changing due to battle tactics, it was still spiritual qi in the end. So I added my immortal spirit, domineering momentum, noble character, invincible faith, and unyielding will. Bam! Everyone saw Han Fei draw a perfect arc in the sky and fly away. Old Bai's face was black. How did you teach such a thing? Speaking nonsense with a straight face. It seems like it can only be a coincidence. But Old Bai said to Han Fei, who ran back with a gloomy face, although you seem to have cultivated your saber to a very wonderful state now, there is a big problem. But there's a big problem. Your saber won't grow with your strength unless your invincible fighting will is strengthened again. Otherwise, this kind of saber will be fixed and has a lot of limitations. With the improvement of your realm, it's easy to be surpassed. Han Fei said indifferently, I just need to be powerful now. Old Bai snorted. You have to be powerful all the time to understand this saber technique. 2 days ago, when Old Bai saw Han Fei use this kind of saber light for the first time, he was suddenly shocked, because he found a kind of saber technique that didn't require any realm at all. Although Han Fei was full of nonsense, he was right about one thing. He didn't know why he integrated an invincible faith into his saber. It was reasonable to say that faith was just pure spiritual will, but this kind of power actually restrained the saber intent. Not only did it restrain the saber intent, but it also prevented the escape of spiritual energy, forming a mysterious thing on the saber light. Not only did the others not understand, but even Old Bai himself didn't understand it. He could only see this much, so he was more willing to believe that this was just something Han Fei accidentally made. So when Han Fei made this kind of saber light, Old Bai suggested that Han Fei could also use the million knife art to make this feeling. But so far, Han Fei had not succeeded. In Han Fei's words, he still needed the help of Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. 10 days later, there were still 3 days before Han Fei and the others went to another town to participate in the exchange competition. 3 days later, they had to go to a place called the Wind Thunder Town. At this time in the back mountain, Zhang Xuanyu shouted excitedly, Come on, Ling Yuan! Dodge! Use the sword rain! Kill him! Kill him! Lu Rinquang was next to him, stuffing dried fish into his mouth and shouting, Junior brother, quickly turn into grass! Quickly turn into grass and tangle him, don't let go! Ling Yuan, protect your body with spiritual energy and use the shield as a weapon. Fight with the shield. In the forest battlefield in the back mountain, Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were evenly matched with Han Fei. This time, under the strong request of everyone, Han Fei was forced to suppress his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. It would be too much if he suppressed his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. Facing the joint suppression of 2 advanced great fishing masters, even if Han Fei's saber was very strong, his reaction was not as fast as theirs. Under his feet, there had already been a sea of seaweed. Han Fei didn't dodge. His body was entangled by seaweed, and the small branch in his hand was grabbed by the seaweed. Ling Yuan was even more direct. She took out her saber and sword and slapped at Han Fei. Anyway, she couldn't kill Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu said excitedly, Ha ha ha! Fei Fei, you're finally going to lose. Han Fei said angrily, Go away, I still have a unique skill. Xia Shaochan looked unconvinced. You've run out of tricks. Do you think Xiaonan and Ling Yuan are ordinary advanced great fishing masters? Han Fei was very annoyed at the moment. He had been entangled like this for almost half an hour. In the past, it was he who abused Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, but this time he was going to be abused by his junior brother and junior sister. Because his speed was too slow, he was suppressed everywhere. Even if he waved his saber, he found that he couldn't cut anyone and could only barely protect himself. No, I'm too slow. What should I do? How can I speed up when my realm is the same? Suddenly, Han Fei thought of something. Right, the void-breaking technique. The saber in Han Fei's hand flashed, broke the sea god grass, and waved the branch in his hand. Ling Yuan shouted, "Senior brother, just admit defeat. Your trick is useless." However, at the moment when Ling Yuan shouted, she saw a cold flash in front of her eyes, and Han Fei's saber had already appeared in front of her. Chu Jinan was dumbfounded. How is it possible? Xia Shaochan suddenly exclaimed, "Shadowless blade." Han Fei, how dare you steal my shadowless blade? Second, please vote. End of this chapter.